Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. Do we have sound? Yes, apparently we have sound. I cleaned everything here up, which means, of course, when I bump my microphone gains, sometimes I switch it off entirely, and then we keep wondering why there are audio problems. Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. It's been such a long time that I'm not even able to produce the signature catchphrase. Hello everyone, how are you all doing? And congratulations, Frank, on winning the pop quiz. Lady Misleaf, a very close second. Viridian Games with 7 out of 7 answers correct, A on third, and Kirsybuu is also here, also 100% correct answers. It's just 2 of them. This is why you placed 4th. Hello everyone, thank you so much for dropping by. And Kirsy says, Phil's back. Lady Misleaf confirms that I indeed have sound. Thank you so much. much. And Frank also confirms that we do have video. Yeah, as for the video, apparently my bit rate is subpar. At least this is what Twitch keeps telling me. We're at 5.5 kilobits per second, which should not be a problem usually. But if we have some dropouts, maybe I can throttle it. I don't know. Anyway, hello everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well, because I am doing well, finally, after about 2 weeks now. Yeah, I was struck with probably either the flu or COVID. I didn't get tested, but it wasn't as severe as I've already have had it. The problem was that it struck me at a very bad time. Of course, on one hand, it was over the weekend where actually you want to do anything else but just lie there and recover. And the week thereafter was quite stressful at work because I was lucky to get in another color grading job, but this was very short notice and very high load. And as I was just recovering, I was just there. Essentially, I was just color grading and sleeping. This was for a couple of days my entire rhythm. So, and yeah, of course, this didn't mean that I recovered quite substantially as I should have, which usually happens. But I gave myself another week, started another pet project, which I almost finished, so we're good on that. And yeah, I'm feeling great, and I hope you do too. And it's nice getting back to good old streaming with all of you. Kirsty says, glad you got well soon. Oh yeah, I have to show you something. Lady Misleaf says, do you take additional color grading jobs on the side, or is your job flexible? And Andrew JK is here. Glad you're doing better. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm doing better. And Andrew, it's good to have you here because from what I understand, you're looking for an artist for your capsule art and logo design. And so I thought, if you don't mind, I can try my hand at it. Best case scenario, you say, yeah, it's fine that you have some fun, but it's not for me. I just want to give it a try because I'm itching for a small job. And to answer Lady Misleaf's question, I'm working, as I said, full time. So when I take a job on the side, it means that usually it works like this. So you got 3 days, and this is the project, and we need it in HDR and SDR finished by these 3 days. How I manage to slot it in is up to me. I just have to plan around the 8 hours that I do at work. Sometimes I'm lucky that my work projects don't take up that much time, and I can work. Maybe something is rendering for an hour or at least half an hour, so I can squeeze in half an hour on a different project. But it works like this. I have my project and it needs to be due and uploaded at that point of time. And in this case, it was 45 minutes, so which was about 850 shots. And yeah, this was grueling work. But I wasn't the only one on this project. The other colorists working on it who had the major part of it, because it's a mini series and I graded 1 episode and he graded 2 episodes, and yeah, there was not enough time for any of it. And we both said we don't have rings under our eyes. In my case, Connie said I was looking like a panda bear because it was everything black. So good thing is, yeah, I've recovered, and it's nice to take on some color grading jobs, especially when it's something different than I usually do for Red Bull. So yeah, but I'm glad it is over. Frank says, pet project almost finished. That means only the polish left, right? Almost. It's almost literally polished. And by finished, I can show you. But first, I want to show you something. And Andrew JK says, I actually landed a freelancer this morning for the logo, but if you wanted to play with it just for fun, knock yourself out. Congratulations on finding someone. For those who don't know, Andrew is working or is looking for an illustrator and a logo designer, I think. I think the illustrator you already have when it comes to the capsule art, as you posted on the Pixel Prophecy Discord. And Andrew asked on Blue Sky for someone to help him designing with a logo, and it was it didn't go over that well, right? You said like only 2 people, after weeding out all the replies, were capable, but they weren't a match when it came to style, and the others were just bots or utterly useless on one level or the other. It's interesting because I thought, especially with Blue Sky, the quality of the replies would be much better. But yeah, I'm glad that you finally landed someone. But has the polish been polished? That is true, Frank. Oh, by the way, Frank, thank you so much for 63, not days, months of subscribing. This is an unbroken streak that you have there, and I'm just so very grateful that despite my somewhat lacking rhythm in streams the past 2 weeks, that you still subscribe to this little channel here. So thank you so much, Frank. And I just wanted to say thank you personally and not just in the chat. And another thing that I wanted to show to you is this wonderful thing that I got from Kirsy. When I said I couldn't stream because I was sick. And I mean, look at this. This goes right into the fan art folder because it's the little touches. On one hand here is the RGB unicorn. It's handing me on a wonderful cup, something to help me recover. And what also helps me recover is here the mana globe and the health globe. So thank you, Kirsybuu. And of course, the other thing here I've noticed as well here, the design of the duvet is also here on the Pixel Prophecy notepad. If you can see here on the top, it's this thing here, or rather it's rotated like this. So thank you, Kirsy. I hope I got all the Easter eggs there. Is there anything else I've missed? I hope not. It really did help. It put a big smile on my sneezing, coughing face. Andrew says, yeah, our illustrator has wrapped her work. Oh, good. The quality of freelancer recommendations through friends in the animation industry was much more successful. In the end, I mean, of course, it makes sense. In the end, it comes down to personal recommendations. So many things, especially here I've noticed in Austria, is when there's a job opening, who gets the job is mostly someone knows someone else who, and then he just takes the shortcuts through the job openings. And as always, it's personal recommendations, because otherwise you just open the floodgates to some little randos on the interwebs that just discovered AI or LLM art with quotation marks, and they just think they can make a quick buck. And of course, with these kinds of generative tools, you as the potential client has to be very suspicious and cautious of it, because if it looks too good, then it probably is too good. And of course, yeah, we all know how it goes. So in the end, yeah, with personal recommendations, it's also the person who recommends the other one, their reputation is also on the line. So of course, usually with recommendations, you fare much better. Kirsy says, my fan art. Yes, indeed. Lady Misleaf says, I had missed the mana and health globes. Well done. Yeah, I love these kinds of puzzles and little Easter egg hunts. Yep, you got it. The colors and the patterns is right. Okay, good. So I didn't miss anything there, because again, it's the more you look at it, the more you see in there. Right. Oh, we got. Have to introduce someone new to you, because you already know Ashley and Starry Dark Ashley, and we have a new member of the herd. And look at this. This is Sprinkles, the donut unicorn, and she even got, oh, it's on the other side, she got here a candy tat, if it is that. And yeah, I'm not sure who came up with this or why. I only knew that it was Black Friday, everything in the store was 20% off, so of course I had to take this beauty home, and hopefully they don't fight, and also no one gets a sugar shock or something. Kirsty says, yummy. Yeah, right. Never shop when you're hungry. I went to the stationery store here, and they have all these kinds of things and other things, as you may notice at some point. So tasty. Yeah. Here with my color grading going on. This is not yellowish green. It looks like someone puked peas, but this is actual Yoshi green. So yeah, this is my another time that I cornered or not the word cornered, covered. Anyway, I surrendered to the merchandising and that was Nintendo. Essentially, when Nintendo panders something with retro characters and things like it, I have to restrain myself very hard. It's for some people it's Harry Potter Lego, for example. I'm not naming any names, but she's in the other room. For me, it's this kind of Nintendo stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was 20% off. What else was I to do? Thank you everyone for saying hi to Sprinkles. And should have made your own goldenrod Yoshi. Indeed, right? I mean, there are Yoshis of different colors. And the green Yoshi is the OG Yoshi, but I think even with Super Mario World, we already had, depending on what kind of Koopa shell you ate, Yoshi had different abilities. And I think the yellow shell, no, this what I'm thinking of was Yoshi spewing fireballs, but this was the red shell. I don't remember what happens when you have a yellow Yoshi, but yeah, it's something for me to research at some point. Boshi, Boshi, that's nice. I'm all for Boshi. Or Koshi for unicorn. It probably means something. It's a cuss word in some language, like Pajero. I've heard the story where I think it was Volkswagen who put out some model that was called Pajero Sport, and in Brazil it just meant a sports wanker or something. So way to go. I don't think you know what I mean. I've Googled Boshi. I have no idea what you mean. Let me Google Boshi. Boshi can refer, says the AI overview, to several things, and with that I'm already, there we go, from the Super Mario Wiki, which is a trusted source. And this trusted source, let me share it with you. Thank you. I've never heard of Boshi. Is a blue Yoshi that appears in Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Look at this rendered abomination. That's a gnarly cool Yoshi. Boshi. I've never. Thank you for introducing me. Like I said, I always learn something new, and this is it for me today. It's a blue Yoshi who is somewhat different in appearance from other Yoshis, as he wears sunglasses, a spiked red collar, and shoes, allowing his 3 toes to poke out instead of the usual Yoshi shoes. He also had a red crest protruding from the back of his head. That is so cool. Mario Kart resembles to Boshi. Really? Oh yes, indeed. Never realized this. Huh. The more you know. Boshi in particular is one of very few Yoshis to have a distinct appearance from other Yoshis, as other Yoshis often look the same but are different colors. Next would later be Village Leader, who appears in Paper Mario. Okay, cool. Thank you for making me aware of Boshi. Gelisam says yellow shell is for creating puffs of smoke after each jump. I don't think I remember this, but maybe I mean, it's been probably decades since I played Super Mario World in honest. Maybe we should play some Super Mario World for old time's sake, and then see if we can get a yellow one. Nissan, I think. Was it Nissan, not Volkswagen? Thank you, Frank. And Lane Misleaf says, here's the Yoshi that you have to beat in a race in Mario RPG. I've never played Mario RPG, so it makes, of course, then sense that he has an appearance in Super Mario Kart then. The only race that I remember in an RPG was in Chrono Trigger, where in the distant apocalyptic future you had to race some rocket dudes, also with matching music. It was quite peculiar thinking about it. Right. So before we get all artsy, I wanted first to show you my pet project that I made as a kind of recovery for myself, and that is a 3D model. Oh, Lady Miss Leaf says, I was Frank, before that, Frank says, no, I'm thinking of another car. Definitely not Volkswagen, though. Okay. It's just some... Is it an urban legend? Just something that I've heard. It was over 20 years ago. I think it was in the 90s. So, of course, from what I've heard, maybe someone exaggerated the story and it wasn't that bad. But thank you. Oh, Mitsubishi. It was Mitsubishi. Thank you for checking, Frank. It's kind of cool to have fact checkers here. Among the chat. This makes things so much easier for me. Thank you. And Lady Misleaf says, I was obsessed with Mario RPG. I beat it multiple times. It's the only turn-based game that never annoyed me with the leveling. That's interesting. Maybe you would also enjoy the Chrono Trigger then, because I think it was from Square, the Mario RPG, right? If I recall correctly. And I think they made the Mario RPG before they made Chrono Trigger because, or was it after? I'm not quite sure anymore. Or was it Final Fantasy or Secret of Mana? I'm mixing things up because so many good RPGs back then. But I've heard good things about it. But yeah, I've never really played it. Maybe I should also catch up on that. Okay, on the SNES, not sure how I feel about the re-release. I've never heard about the re-release. For me, only the SNES version exists. And Frank says, I don't know if the story is true, but it's a Mitsubishi model. I think now we have to research cuss words then in Portuguese, I think, Brazilian Portuguese. Brazil. Lady Misleaf gave away my copy of Chrono Trigger. Oh no, I couldn't figure out where to go next and couldn't remember where I was because it's non-linear. Yeah, with Chrono Trigger, I bought the game twice. And I've never had it on the Super Nintendo because it never came out in good old Europe. But I recall around the year 2000 when I started looking into emulation, and I was absolutely stunned to learn that there were games that never appeared in Austria. And that, of course, you can also find many ROMs already on the likes of Napster and other file sharing platforms. And this is where I first played Chrono Trigger. I also didn't, at some point, I didn't know where to go and I had to abandon it, but I loved it. So the next time, I've been moving my hands so much that I just got my step goal for today. Thank you, Watch. I'm so glad that you think I was walking. So the next time I got Chrono Trigger was for the Game Boy Advance, and I played it on my Nintendo DS because you could play Nintendo Advance games, and I lost it. This was super bad because I thought I was pretty far into the game, and I've lost it. So then I had to buy it again, and of course the prices went up, but I really wanted to have this wonderful game, and I've never played it then, but I've played it again on emulation. It also got to a point where I didn't know where to go. So I've never also finished Chrono Trigger, but I've been seriously spoiled because I've listened once to a very thorough podcast that was like 2 or 3 hours, and yeah, pretty spoiled. I know of the game and know how it ends, I think, but yeah, maybe I should catch up on it. Also, exercise is exercise. Indeed. I mean, I vacuumed the entire house. So I think I've had my exercise for today, and also had a coffee at McDonald's at the McCafe, because the cool thing about McCafe is usually the coffee is way too strong. So it's you get literally the most bang out of your buck there when it comes to caffeine. And this is usually I need to be very cautious of how much I spend for the rest of this month. Where can I get my fix of caffeine for the least amount of money? So this is why I'm smiling. Kirsy says Chrono Trigger top tier. Yes, indeed. And you beat it on the Virtual Console on Wii. This is nice. I didn't know that. I mean, of course, it makes sense. Nintendo is always keen on selling you their old games on every new platform. I think also the Switch 2 has a old game store again, where you can still buy, I don't know, F-Zero for $5 or something. And I feel like, I mean, $5 is much cheaper how much it cost 30 years ago, but still, I wouldn't say F-Zero, for example. I'm not even sure if they're selling it, but usually the Nintendo price point for their retro games is $5. Of currency of your choice. And I always feel like, yeah, it's NES games nowadays, I would pay like 2, not 5. Anyway, I'm getting way off track here. It's so nice to be back. And oh yeah, returning to my pet project here. So you might be wondering what this is. And again, this started out as a conversation that I've had on Blue Sky. And essentially, if you recall, I've made a t-shirt of the KC-84-4 computer. This was an East German computer in the 80s, an 8-bit computer. And my game Aufgeblähte Drossel was meant to be or should look as if it was made for or on this computer. So just to give you... There we go. It's good because no one has made a shirt of the good old KC-84 but myself. And so this is how the design looks. So this was, yeah, the design that I made. And here you can see that this was a photograph that I converted to halftone rather severely because the quality of the picture was not that good. So this is actually the thing here on the bottom is the KC-84, and on top there you have a floppy drive and the floppy controller and so on, and the keyboard in front. So someone online saw this and said, I love this design, but can you make it for the KC-85/3? So this was, of course, the model that came before the 85/4. I said, sure thing, just need to find a good picture. And then the pictures that I found of this base model didn't look right. And so I thought, you know what, I can just project it onto a cube and then can rotate the cube. Of course, if you project something onto a cube and then rotate it, it looks a little bit iffy. And long story short, I recreated the entire thing in 3D. So, and this is the KC, the model. So I'm just saying KC-84. When I say the 4, I mean the newer model, and when I say the 3, I mean the earlier model, because this is the 4 that I modeled, and of course there is also the 3. And I think it's much more interesting to see this actually shaded. There we go. That you have a better understanding of what it looks like. Frank says, I can just track one down and then 3D scan it. That is probably the other thing with 3D scans. The quality is with photogrammetry, it comes out a little bit fuzzy. And for really good 3D scans, I feel like 3D scans are best when it comes to things like, or photogrammetry for that matter, for organic shapes. Because if you have something that is reflective, as the front of this thing here is, or is, doesn't have lots of features on its surface, it's super hard to get this scanned. Also, I do not have a 3D scanner. So in the end, this is the level of detail that I recreated, because at some point I thought, you know what, I can maybe I can put it up on sale on one of the 3D platforms where I can sell you 3D models. And this was the problem that cost me much more grief and work, actually, than just rendering this out. Because since I thought, okay, I have modeled now here the KC-85/3, so the 3, and I can also do the floppy drive, right? So the floppy drive thing is another issue. There we go. So because the floppy consists of not 1 but 2 of these modules, and again they're meant to stack on top, because this floppy drive needs a controller. And what the cool thing is about this KC-85 computer is, let's smooth this out a little bit, is that you can augment it here with modules, and this is called module 3. So it has two serial data ports as module 11, which adds a whopping 64 kilobytes of RAM, which is kind of quaint. And this is why these two black things here, they just cover the slots where you can also slot in different modules there. So I've learned a lot about this computer while I was doing the 3D modeling for it. Let's smooth this out. So and now I can make a much better version of this t-shirt here, because now I can position the camera and do some proper lighting and shading for it and just make it look nice. And this is, yeah, Frank, you're completely correct. This is the polishing thing. And since I said I wanted to sell it perhaps on Turbo Squid, I just thought, yeah, how hard can this be to just put it up there? I've already, I think, 2 or 3 models up there. Did it couple of years ago. I don't remember this being such a hassle. Turns out I was wrong, because it needs so many things. For example, you need to have a lot of different formats that you provide it in. So it's Maya, FBX, OBJ, different version of FBX. Then you need to render 5 views of it, once on a certain colored background without shadows, a turntable, the UV map, and it's just yeah. And the funny thing is, this has been finished for like half a week, and the rest of the week is just getting the assets ready that I can sell it, and realizing that I made some modeling mistakes, re-exporting everything again. And so, yeah, this is another pet project from your pal Phil. So if you ever need I went completely crazy. If we look at the wireframe, yeah, you can see this, everything there is modeled. And even the backside of the keyboard is modeled. And funny thing, there is not only one keyboard, because of course the KC84 number 4 has a different keyboard model than the 3. So the good thing is it looks more or less the same in terms of mesh topology, but it has a different texture and a different bump map. And the other thing is the font of the keys. You know me, how I'm with fonts. This font is apparently a custom font. It was done with a CAD program. So of course, good old Phil traced this font, and yeah, this is all custom made. But I'm pretty happy with the result. Maybe I shouldn't stick those 2 things, keep them clipping here together. Again, I'm super happy with the result, and I proved to myself, yeah, I still got it. I know how to 3D model something and shade it that it looks rather nice. So this, yeah, again, has been my pet project. And my God, an anonymous gifter. Thank you so much. I have a hunch whom this might be, but woo, hype train. I raise my Yoshi in your honor, and you might be wondering what I'm drinking. And this is matcha latte, but the latte instead of the milk is cocoa milk from coconuts. Wow, thank you so much, anonymous gifter. Again, I've just returned, and you already shower me with gifts, and the people here with gifts, and me just with again. I'm getting this smile. It's probably will probably stick there. Yeah. Again, thank you, and this must have been Sprinkles. Sprinkles, was this you? I take that as a maybe. Oh, she looks tasty. Just need to make sure that I'm not knocking over, because with 2 unicorns, I knocked them over from my hand movements and hand waving, pun intended. Oh, thank you so much. Wonderful. So what else have I missed in the stream? Tutvari says, hi guys, can't watch today's stream, but dropped into... Oh, hello Tutvari, you're probably already gone, but if you watch this on the VOD, hello Tutvari, and I hope you had a wonderful week whenever you watch this between being here and watch. I don't know what I'm saying. Thank you for dropping by, and hello to into the future. We'll watch the VOD tomorrow. Okay, so then, hello from yesterday. Frank says, worth it, you'll sell thousands. Yeah, of course, this is what I'm looking forward to, because there does not exist a 3D model of the KC85. I checked. because even if you enter into Google KC85 computer t-shirt, the first thing that comes up is my Redbubble version of this. And so I'm going to make a nicer version of this, without the half-tone pattern here, which is rather ugly. Also, fun fact here, this is from a photo, and this was from some museum of East German junk, and they propped up this computer here. And you see here the cable of the keyboard, they moved it here to the back of the machine. Well, turns out, as you probably have guessed, the keyboard connects here to the front with a DIN socket plug through a DIN socket. So yeah, this museum didn't bother to check where actually the keyboard goes, because here, if you watch there on the back side, it has no inputs for these kinds of things. It has here some outputs for TV RGB or expansion interfaces, and cables, but yeah, I found this quite funny. And of course, someone also mentioned this to me when I posted that, hey, if you want to buy a t-shirt, and they said, lol, you even didn't get that one right. So I can make a nicer version and then put it on to the Glitch Emporium, which is shop.pixelprophecy.com. I plan on adding more stuff there. And I'm also planning, so if you want to get your Christmas present for someone here from the Glitch Emporium, for example, this cute mug or something when it comes to retro computing, maybe a mouse pad with a Commodore PET computer or a sticker, don't buy it just yet, because I'm planning to do a post Black Friday sale for 1 or 2 weeks, still before Christmas. So hopefully it should ship in time. But yeah, I will put everything off for a couple of days. So I will keep you posted on the socials. So if you're interested in this, for example, a Commodore 64 mug with a 10 print maze background, I mean, this is not for everyone. I totally understand it. But again, if you're considering buying something from there, don't do it yet, unless of course you want to spend more money than necessary, like I said. And I'm planning on a sale, and there will also be this new version of this design. Right. So, end of advertisements. Interesting, says Frank, that it has English on it. Exactly. This is also what I thought, is why does an East German computer that was born from socialism has English markings there, or English words like keyboard and system. Okay, system is also German, but reset is not German. Power is also not German. But the funny thing is, Basis is German. So it means base device. But again, yeah, it was German, and I think they did this to have this thing appear cooler than it was, because I mean, with especially East German, you would think everything has some weird, too long bureaucratic name that is in German. For example, a Blu-ray disc, if it would have been in existence back then, the German translation, or rather clumsy, or not clumsy, rather obnoxious translation would be Blaustrahlscheibe. And in something like this, I mean, KC probably stands for Kleincomputer, which means small computer. But again, yeah, they could have named everything instead of keyboard, it should in German be Tastatur, or instead of reset, it should be Zurücksetzen. And wonderful sounding, poetic sounding German words. Yeah, I think this was done to make it cool. I mean, here on the back, at least the warning labels. Let me just change here the light source. There on the back, the warning labels are in German. For one, apart from made in GDR, which I found kind of funny. So it says here VEB, that is a short form for Volkseigener Betrieb. So this is citizen-owned factory. So essentially, yeah, it's state-owned. Microelectronic, it has a name of some functionary of the party, Mühlhausen, that's the place where it came from. It says here, vor dem Öffnen Netzstecker ziehen, which means pull the plug before opening it, and vor Feuchtigkeit schützen, protect from moisture. So this was German because I think especially warning labels, yeah, this has to be German. Anyway, I got a reward here from the hype train, and it's her mind emote. And make of that what you will. I have no idea what I can use it for. Frank says, the French to it better calling their computers ordinateur. Yeah, the French have this ministry, I think, which makes sure that there aren't too many loan words from other languages in the beautiful language that is French. So they're very protective of the language. And also they don't have download, they have télécharger, I think it's what it's called. So especially if back in the 90s, when you would surf the interwebs, or as we called it, the information superhighway, and you came to a French site, you didn't even know whether it was about video games. Even in German, video games usually are called games or started being called games very early on. And again, in French, it's jeux de vidéo or something. So the French always do their own thing. And yeah, Lady Miss Liv says, télécharger. I'm not sure if I pronounced this correctly because my French is mostly based on fries. This is all that I know. But yeah, Lady Misleaf, I think you're native French and English speakers. Of course, you can say much better than I what this is all about. Frank says the Académie Française, right, is in charge of that. They're moderately conservative. New members are appointed by the king, who is represented by the president. This I want to say this is so French, but of course I can see the same thing for England. Okay, I'm Acadian, Canadian French, but French speaking, right? We do have a different accent from France. Oh, oui, 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 baguette, baguette. Yeah, sorry. This baguette has also been a running joke here since ever we played Expedition 33 Clair Obscur here. Because I don't know if any of you have played Clair Obscur, but the game is so wonderfully French and in a good way. I mean, back in the 90s, there were also many games, especially beautiful looking DOS games, that were undeniably French, which meant they looked amazing. They had something very artsy going on, but usually they were somewhat underbaked when it came to game mechanics. But you weren't in it for the game mechanics. You were in for a weird novel experience. And I don't know where I wanted to go with this. I completely lost my train of thought. Choo choo, bye bye, train of thought. Frank says you have arrêt on road signs. This means this is the main distinguishing factor. Okay, I have no idea what this means or what the difference is to France. Right, the train just came back to the station. I remember now what I wanted to say. Yeah, with Clair Obscur, they are very aware that they are a French game, mostly French game, and they make lighthearted fun of it, but also in a good way. So it's not looking down on someone or making it too goofy. But I think the first there is a mime that you can fight, and it starts going like this. And when you defeat it, you get a beret and the white black striped shirt, and I think the costume is called baguette. And from that moment on, I thought, okay, game, you got me good. Lady Mislev says, I like baguettes, and I insist it is not related to me being French. I mean, it's okay. These kinds of culinary things, with me, it's somewhat similar. In Austria, we also have these different federal states, and the one that I originate from is called Styria. So it's in the eastern southern part of Austria, and Styria is well known for the pumpkin seed oil because it's also exported worldwide. They always make a big fuss about how well known this is, and of course I grew up with lots of pumpkins. So this is why I always joke when something is pumpkin spice or pumpkin seed flavored, I'm here for it. This is how I grew up. This I clearly, this is my heritage now. I'm a pumpkinite. Lady Misleaf says, my hubby, English speaker only, as a joke, replied to one of my French words last week with, oh, han, petite baguette, oui, oui. And I replied without thinking, are you saying you have a small baguette? Sorry for the innuendo. It's good. Probably, I think this, we all can handle this innuendo. And Tutvari also says, thanks for the gift sub. Thank you, Tutvari, for coming back to accept the gift. And now I can say to you live or almost live, thank you for dropping by and hello. Oui. Right, so yeah, this is my pet project, and the good thing is, like, as you can see, it is largely finished, and it was fun to get back into photorealistic hard surface modeling, as it is called, to show the world, yes, good old Phil still got it, despite using probably my workflows that I've learned 20 years ago at this point in a software no one, I think, uses. Again, we're here not in Blender, but this is good old Maya, because again, it's the one that I learned in college. So I'm not going to save this. So yeah, my good old pet project. Right, the other pet project that I had, if you remember my good old DOS game, why I'm always saying good old, my DOS game, and let's see if I can open it up so to remind you, oh, this is already a different project. Code, press, kit template, Pascal, there we go. So, yeah, my DOS game that produced the title screen of an EGA artwork of Knight Rider and played the music. So, and when I run this, let's see what happens. Whether it will crash, because I think it might. Oh no, it does not. At least that's something. So this is as far as I got with my DOS game, because I wanted to teach myself how to make games with DOS. And the other thing here is this palette change here. Whenever I hit space, I can fade this artwork in and out. This is the entirety that I managed to do. Yeah, I meant to say I started teaching myself how to make DOS games with free Pascal for DOS. I think in August or something, when I learned that there will be a DOScember this year for people playing DOS games, and there is a DOS game jam on Twitch, not on Twitch, on itch, the other thing that ends with itch. And I wanted to take part with it. And thought, how hard can it be to make something that is small and graphical? So I wrote, as some of you already witnessed, I wrote this all in Pascal, which probably was not the best thing to do. So the problem that I was having throughout was of performance, because I was doing things not the good. Again, I'm saying the good old way of using as much assembler as you can to speed things up, especially certain loops that happen every frame. You really want this to be fast, because especially DOS machines, their bus is so slow. If you want to get bytes from the memory to the graphics card, really just don't do it. Just transfer as little as possible. So, and of course, I thought I make myself a Game Maker Lite, or at least something that behaves a little bit like Game Maker that I'm used to, where I have objects and sprites. And I really came to terms with, okay, I know how pointers work now. I think I figured this out. So, and doing the right thing, the way how you're being taught to do things with pointers. So you allocate just a big chunk of memory where you put all your data, and instead of passing this data around between functions, you put this on the stack and not on the heap, or the other way around. And all you do is you just pass references to the memory addresses. So instead of having this big chunk that you pass to a function, or it doesn't even have to be a big chunk, all you do is you pass the memory address where this function can find the data. And it took me, I think, in the end, 2 weeks to refactor everything, to use pointers and not crash and not be address some memory that is not there. Yeah, debugging this thing is a different matter, because it wasn't easy. Anyway, long story short, I optimized the crap out of it, and in German I would say I sehr optimisiert. So Zer is a beautiful syllable that we have to prefix something. For example, zerstört means destroyed, or zerrissen means ripped apart. So zer means to destroy something into pieces. And I zer optimize this because following all the good practices for DOS, like I said, slow machines, slow computers, especially cache line misses. It was so slow. And I couldn't go back because I didn't know how I had it set it up before. So essentially, I probably would have to rewrite everything and rethink everything through. And I mean, we're at many thousands lines of code there. So it's not going to happen. So what I have now is, again, I've optimized it to death, essentially. And of course, I lost interest, and then I grew sick, I recovered, I had the color grading project, and then I thought, yeah, when I want to recover, probably not with something as stressful as this, which again is somewhat of a pity, because I'm pretty proud that I wrote a PCX parser, I wrote a VGM parser, I plot every pixel on I read every pixel from a PCX image and know how to plot it on screen and have dirty rectangles. So I'm pretty happy with the technology behind it, that somehow even this, not a trained programmer, somehow managed to get this done with Pascal of all things. But again, it's now you cannot use this. I think when we open up it here in the DOS box, and when I switch the emulation to emulate let's say a Pentium 90 megahertz, probably the music is already playing a bit slow. And when I click here, and this effect here is again super slow. And so the fastest thing here that it barely manages to do is to update the sprite of the mouse pointer. So again, this is... You need a 2000s computer to run something that looks like it was made in 1990. Again, so yeah, this is the current state of this. And the sad part of this is I plan to make a whole video about this, because I thought instead of doing my usual postmortems where I crunch for 2 or 3 days and then produce something, how would a video look like when I really take half a year of something? And I recorded, did a lot of screen recordings. So, and now it just hangs there in limbo. And I mean, I've written much of the script. I haven't revised it yet. And I think I'm not sure what to do with it, because there won't be anything, and which is quite a bummer, because like I said, I'm kind of proud of what I did, but not very proud at the optimization, in the sense of destruction that I made in the end. But Kirsty says, video sounds fun. So yeah, that is the question. How should this video be? Because... I mean, I can set out, and this is how I made a DOS game, but I also cannot say this is how I did not make a DOS game, but probably this would be more fun. So what I'm just asking for, do you have any advice or ideas of how I should make this a video that essentially I've built this and I've optimized it a lot, and now I've over-optimized it and it's even slower than it ever was before, and I've lost interest. Essentially, I think what is on the horizon is, at some point in time when I've ever should have the time, is to refactor everything and essentially rewrite everything in C for DOS, and maybe be a little bit more cognizant of all the things like cache hits and cache lines and cache misses. And again, these kinds of things that never occurred to me before. Again, I come from Game Maker and JavaScript, so something like a cache line that I've learned about it was like, oh dear, and of course I've heard this somewhere before, but here it's really integral to this functioning. Ah dear. So what else have I missed? So, Lady Mischief said, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Tutvari was the anonymous gifter since it happened right after he showed up. Oh, could be. Because your projects are always good, says Lady Misleaf, and you project hop as much as I do. So when you go back to a project, it's likely an older one. XDF. XDF, I have no idea what XDF means. I think it's just the X smiley. Hence, good old projects. Okay, this makes sense why I say, oh, the good old projects. Optimization. Yeah, that's the thing. Frank says, but did you optimize the right things? I thought I was optimizing the right things, and I thought if I pass the entire object to the function, wouldn't it be better if I just pass it the pointer to it? And the project itself, the object itself would have a pointer to the sprite, and the sprite itself would have a pointer to the memory where the picture data of the current frame is currently stored. So instead of giving the CPU just one big chunk of data and say everything is in there, it's contiguous, just figure it out. Every time it flushes the cache when it chases another pointer. And of course, if you display more than one sprite at a time, which might happen in games, then of course you chase like 10, 20 pointers each frame. Madness. Video sounds fun, says Kirsy. Kirsy says, well, what did you learn? How did it make you feel? That is a good point, because with the videos, it's on one hand this is what happened, is the telling of it. The other thing is, okay, what can I take from it? And hopefully you as the viewer. And again, how did this make me feel? Well, first, ecstatic. I have a pixel on screen and I made this. And yeah, okay, this, thank you. This is interesting. So essentially the good old post-mortem treatment, right? Okay, the F was a typo. Okay, this makes sense. Yeah, the XD laughing smiley. Yeah, okay, good. The good old times. Isn't this the worst when you make a typo and made a typo? It was meant to, and you either make the same typo again or a different typo, and then you correct yourself a third time, and of course you make another typo. And at this point is probably I should just give up communicating with people, because I'm just embarrassing myself. I hope it's not just me. Frank says, if you want to know how memory works back in 2007, I can recommend this article, What Every Programmer Should Know About Memory. I think I've seen this somewhere. Thank you. I need to bookmark this. This was not bookmarking it. This was just pulling it to a different screen. The other thing that I found was, of course, Michael Abrash's Black Book, or Abrash, Michael Abrash, Graphics Programming Black Book, which for those interested is again the Bible for game and development on DOS, and how to get the most bang out of your buck. And again, it's higher 264 color resolution on the VGA. It's super in-depth and technical, and even starts out here, the best optimizer is between your ears. And I thought, yep, I already got this. And then is so essentially it's not just here's some code, write this exactly as it is, but before going into any code, you really tries to instill in you what the things you should be looking at, or how you should be thinking when you want to optimize things. And the next thing is, in the layer of the cycle eaters, you need to be aware of what eats cycles and what doesn't. And here in the chapter 3, the Zen timer he goes into how to program a timer that you can trust. This is his P Zen timer. So you can actually time your functions and use this as a basis, because do not, again, if you have any assumptions of how memory works or how things should be faster, chances are you're forgetting something, or in your special case, things work differently. So always test and profile. And this is really what I took from this Black Book. Did I already post it? There we go. In case you're interested in this. And what I also like about this website is it's all in one website, and the website is super fast and responsive, because it looks like it could have come from the CERN Institute in 1994 or something, because it's really that bare bones. And I have to say I like websites when they don't try to do anything fancy, because the content is that good. So if you're ever into this kind of low level thing, this really is your starting point, in my opinion. Of course, I only skimmed it through. I haven't read all of it. Not even. No, I just read certain chapters and understood that I didn't understand lots of it. But the other thing that I learned a lot about game programming and also programming patterns is, of course, game programming patterns by Robert Nystrom. Was it Robert Nystrom? I think it was. Yeah, Robert Nystrom. And this also has a website. And the book I've read now a couple of times. And it's always fun when you come back to something that you've read like 5 or 6 years ago. And now you have not a completely different view on it, but a somewhat changed view because you did certain programming things and in between, and you realize, oh, this is the pattern that I should have used, and it would have saved me so much time. Or finally understand now how the bytecode pattern works, for example. And of course, he also goes into exactly this, cache lines and cache misses, and this is where I've learned it from. And yeah. And also, Frank has a PDF, and thank you for the PDF, but no, I do not prefer the PDF. If it's plain HTML, the good thing with plain HTML is you can make an EPUB book out of it. You can just put it in any e-reader. I've once bought a book with game articles, and it was a PDF, and I wanted to read it on this screen, and of course, it's a PDF, so it took out all the joy of reading because it was just the formatting. But thank you for providing this. Probably still relevant today, says Frank about the article. This one here, what every programmer should know about programming, part 1. But how relevant it is to 1990 systems. Yeah, the other thing that is relevant to 1990 systems is, I've said it multiple times, and I'm back with, of course, the biggest things that I've learned about machines from the 1990s are these 2 black books, the game engine black books for Doom and Wolfenstein 3D from Fabienne Zanglar. And they, I think, they are also, it happened, I toppled over the unicorns. And they are also available on GitHub. And I think it's all LaTeX if you want to compile the PDFs yourself. So, of course, the printed version costs something, but this is also something that I can very much recommend. Game Engine Black Book Wolfenstein. Just to make you here a link. Engine Books Update. Isn't this funny? Where he has here even how much it sold and his profits per version. But I think there was GitHub. There we go. So if you prefer, and I think many of you are GitHub people who want to be super close to the source, there you can look at pretty much everything. And the funny thing is, I've marked some typos in the books or some where I figured, you know what, the line break here does not make any sense. And you could just make here a little pull or push. I'm not even sure what is what, but you can propose a correction to this error. And of course, everything that I've marked down has already been corrected by people. It's kind of cool. It's a bit like with open source projects. It's like this Wikipedia of things. The crowd source and crowd finds so much things. If you have a couple of dedicated individuals looking at something, it's just amazing what can happen. Let's hope that AI does not ruin too much of it. Okay, Lady Misleaf has a better one than mistyping that is autocorrect. I can put a sailor to shame on a good day, so anytime I dropped an F-bomb in a text, it autocorrected back to duck. Oh yes, I've had a couple of ducking mistakes like that. The funny thing is also it's super hard to force it to drop some F-bombs there, because autocorrect, yeah, it feels like there is too much intervention from someone there that is not you. I think that once I've heard of, it's back from the Nokia days where it said, hack to the dictionary on your phone, and that it would usually go for the curse words. So when you would wanted to write duck, it would say, today I went to the fucking park and fed the fucks there, or something. Sorry for the F-bombs. Eventually, said Lame Steve, it learned and stopped autocorrecting. Then I went to the mall and there was a duck. I took a picture of it and texted it to the hubby saying that there was a duck that didn't mind humans. And auto-corrected duck back to the... Exactly. That's the thing. There's a duck that didn't mind humans. But the PDF, says Frank, is formatted with 2 columns and everything. Okay, well, if it's nicely formatted with 2 columns, then I might take the PDF. I think I've come across also some PDFs that were set to, okay, this is the PDF for your regular display, and this is the PDF for your mobile device. And I said, thank you, someone who really understood what the issue was. But then it was still paginated and it was somewhat of a mess. But yeah. Frank says the author is or was at least one of the main developers behind the glibc, the standard C library on Linux. He know what he's talking. Yeah, that's when you the author of a standard library. I really do hope you know what you're talking about. Or probably I should hydrate myself. Completely forgot. Thank you, Yoshi. It's another favorite cup. I'm so easily pleased. Okay, Lady Miss Liv got to run to wake up the hubby, and I hope you're not all out of ducks to give today. That was horrible. Bye, Lady Miss Liv. Have a wonderful week. See you next time. Yeah, about the author is or was. Also, we have a sad thing that happened, that Rebecca Heineman passed. I think it was last week. Almost pretty sudden, I feel. And for those who don't know, she was one of the goats when it came to programming. I think in what was it, in the early 80s, Rebecca Heineman was still known as Bill Heineman, but she played in the first, I think it was the first Atari competition. Was it not Pac-Man or something, but she won. It was video game world champion, and started her programming career from that. I think she went to Atari and then started with Brian Fargo and someone else whose name I forgot, Interplay. And the sad thing was that she worked her ass off with so many ports and engine things, and hardly got ever credited for it. There are some of her streams archived on Twitch of her burger times when she was talking about the old days and old times and how things were, and all the code that she had somehow to fix or mangle together. And over the past 30 years, she was working on something that is called the Burger Lib. And this is... as it says here, a low-level operating system library that presents a common API that operates the same on numerous mobile, desktop, and video game platforms. Because she was big into porting, and of course, when you are, you start writing your own libraries and such. So, and maybe if any one of you is interested in this Burger Lib, or it might be a help to any of you, because it says here, platform supported. Platform defines platform detectors. So from many platforms, there are for all the PlayStations, for the 3DO. I think there we go. iOS, Nokia N-Gage, PlayStation 1 through 4, PlayStation Portable, the Wii U, the Linux, Android, NVIDIA Shield, the Ouya of all things. So that's, again, if you need to do some porting, this probably is one of the essentials that you can find. And again, this has been honed for over 30 years. So I think this, I love it when something, and we see this usually with open source software, is when something has grown over so many years that if you wanted to start something like it will also take you probably decades to arrive at a level of completeness and complexity, and also ease of use and just polish to get there. Again, I'm always very, very in awe when something like this drops. And again, the open source community is full of things. I mean, just look at Linux, for example. No one starts a new operating system nowadays, but back then it was possible, and now we have it. And Kirsy, wonderful. You also have found the article from PC Gamer about her, because I feel like she usually flew somewhat under the radar, because even of some of the German podcasts that I listen to, they also commented on, oh no, Rebecca Heineman passed, and many of them said, I just read this somewhere on the news articles and research, and oh my god, this was again on the not on the level of game design as I don't know, Sid Meier or something, but more on a technical level, and also as a human being. So many people she helped with her code and things where she usually was the closer of any projects. If no one gets it done, give it to Becky and she will get it done. And also the name, why she's called Burger Becky, and this is called Burger Lip, because her nickname, I think it was what was it at Atari times, or was it Interplay? No, I think it was when she was at Atari. Her nickname was Burger because she kept a couple of burgers in her desk drawer just in case she would need it. You know how it goes when programming, you forgot to eat and then all the shops are closed. So it's good if you have from your favorite burger joint like 3 burgers in your drawers. And she also said in one of her burger times that she's just an iron stomach. So of course these things weren't as pristine as you would get them when they're freshly prepared to you, but some of them were in there for a couple of days, and yeah, she just managed all right. Anyway, this again, my little obituary. Ossuary? No, obituary is the word. Obit to Rebecca Heineman. Also, what saddened me a little bit is good old programming genius John Carmack. The Doom and Wolfenstein 3D programmer guy, who went to Oculus and Meta and is doing, I think, all. I'm not sure if he's doing anything, with the VR headsets and so on. And he also wrote about Rebecca, but constantly referred and dead named her as Bill Heineman. And I think on one hand, let's tribute it to being tactless, but on the other hand, I mean, you should know. And again, it's like when John Carmack dies, and I refer to him as I just call John Carmack. I just call her, I don't know, Jacqueline Carmack, just because I want to. And again, I feel like this is disrespectful. But then I looked a little bit more into John Carmack because I had been following him. I didn't understand any of his tweets. And I think he's still on Twitter, which already tells you something. But yeah, he's somewhat... there was this sci-fi convention for right-wingers, only right-wingers, and some anti-vax things. I don't know what's wrong with people. The same thing either with John Blow. I think at a certain point you really get high on your own supply and feel like, everyone's telling me I'm a genius, so maybe I'm a genius just in general and not just in this very tiny space or niche space that is, I don't know, 3D programming or something. Maybe I also should weigh in when it comes to societal issues. And you can weigh in, but your weighing in has not a lot of weight because this is not your expertise. And I feel like with some people, Elon Musk, this has gone to utter extremes. Anyway, you got to respect, exactly, you got to respect the non-binaries and all the LGBTQ plus. And I mean, we're all just humans, and just decency and respect. I mean, just you do you, I do me, and doesn't have to be. I mean, this lack of respect is. I always feel like, why? What's so hard about when someone comes? I mean, we've had this in college when someone said, you know what? I'm called, I don't know, Christopher, but hey, please just everyone just call me Chris or C. And everyone said, okay, cool, Chris, let's call you Chris. Same thing. It's what's the big deal? Anyway, I'm annoyed by these kinds of people. Right. Frank says interview with her. By the way, not a very descriptive link. Oh, this one here, legendary game designer programmer Space Invaders. It was Space Invaders champion. And LGBTQ trailblazer Rebecca Heineman has died. The sad thing was it went so quickly because I think the last Burger Time, usually her streams are called Burger Times, and then she just talks about 20 to 30 minutes about an issue. And her last Burger Time was that, she was short of breath and she had it checked out, and it was like 2 liters of fluid in her lungs. And then it was, why was fluid accumulating in her lungs? Well, it was because some lumps were found on her liver, I think, and from there it went very quickly, and it was really just couple of weeks essentially where she went from all right to passed away. It's something that's a little bit scary. This was Kirsyboo's link, right? So you said here the YouTube link. Oh yeah, her this is usually where she streamed her Burger Times from. I love this because I feel like it looks a little bit like here, just much more cooler stuff. And talking about cool stuff, this machine here that you see, this is a massive switch where you can essentially, when you need to compile from cross-compile to different machines and gaming consoles, everything is hooked up here. It also has an HDMI switch. So for example, if you're porting from, let's say, the Xbox to PlayStation and the Wii and something else, you can do this all from this machine. You just have some switches here and everything is pretty much pre-configured. Again, I'm a sucker for this kind of thing, but thank you for this link. I don't think I have watched this. Okay, I'm not signed in. Then it goes to my bookmarks. Thank you. And it's 2 hours. Okay, this is amazing. Sometimes I feel like interviews go too long, but sometimes, especially with interesting people, it can't be long enough. It's like when you work something and you just listen to it, and it feels like you're sitting somewhere in a cafe and you just are sitting next to the most interesting people having a discussion. It's super inspiring. And ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns, exactly, that's the thing, because unicorns, everyone in their rainbow, different states of rainbow, everyone is welcome. And again, I should hydrate more. I realize. Sorry for when I'm doing weird mouth noises. I should drink more from my Yoshi cup. Tasty. So the unicorns, I make sure that I pile them up correctly again. There we go. Right, so I said I wanted to art today. And so let's close this. And for that, as we've said with Andrew JK, I hope he wasn't just kidding. I thought I'd try my hand at the capsule art or doing a paint over of the capsule art, because today I looked it over with Connie, and instantly I realized like 2 things that I thought, you know what, especially if it's small and there's a capsule, maybe I can make it a little bit clearer to read. Just have to find it. Where was it? On the Discord. It was not on YouTube. It was not on Twitch. I think it was on the whatever or projects. Or was it game dev, perhaps? Yes, it was game dev. So let me quickly show you how it looked before and what Andrew ended up with. And again, this is really something. This is why you need illustrators or artists to make something stand out. Because, I mean, it's not bad, but we all know that this looks like a thumbnail on itch.io, where, I mean, you completely understand what the game is about, but it doesn't look like someone spent more than, I would say, 2 or 3 months on it, and it feels a little bit like programmer art. And if you have an artist, something it becomes suddenly much more. And despite being essentially the same motif, so to speak, it looks much more, I would say, high quality or much more bedazzling when it comes to production value. And again, this is, say what you will about the quality of games, and doesn't have to correspond with how good the key art looks, but I know from myself, I'm usually much more interested. I cannot switch this off when I see a game that has a like this, a nicely drawn title art, because I'm easily bedazzled by graphics. So even if it's a bad game, if it looks good, I give it much longer chance, I feel like, than I would have when the game is all programmer art. Of course, with Ludum Dare games, it's different, because I feel there it's really about the mechanics and the game idea, and everything that is polished just is the icing on the cake. But for example, if I were to buy a game or a finished game, then of course it's when you scroll over something, and in Steam, I mean, we can do this if we just search the store for, let's say, Penguin, for lack of a better word. So when I look, for example, here at Vampire's Feast, this doesn't look too bad, but also not too good. But for example, then we have this year Penguin Climbing. This game can be the best game there is, but just from looking at the stretched and artwork there, it doesn't look very inviting, right? Or here this Thrill Penguin. I mean, it has pixel art and so on, but it doesn't come off as very high quality or high. As something that feels like this is a premium game, so to speak. So, and I'm just scrolling over something that maybe that takes me in the different direction, because I mean, this looks all relatively amateurish, right? So this is apparently not something that you would want to easily click. For example, here, this Penguin Hotel, on the other hand, this has something to it. I feel like this, when I were looking at all these things here, this Penguin Noir, this also doesn't look like, it looks like Penguin Noir if you squint. Again, it's not very artistically done. So from all these things here, and again, this is just my personal taste, probably I would click here this Penguin Hotel Chapter 1 and not this Penguin Hatchery, for example. So this is why, of course, you want to stand out. And when we look at this in super small, suddenly this Penguin Noir, you cannot really read this anymore. Is this a logo? Is this text? It's super hard to make out. So and so what the a good capsule art, in my opinion, should capture is much of the vibe and genre of the game there is. For example, this Penguin Hotel. What kind of genre does this look like? Well, in this case, it's kind of hard to tell. I would say it's somewhat a little bit of a horror game. So let's click it and figure out what it actually is. But there you're caught up in a terrifying event, solve puzzles and battle with a special camera, experience a very strange penguin horror. Okay, so I wasn't wrong there. So this again is something to flex my creative muscle, so to speak, is, or if I just enter what let's say koala, maybe there's something similar here, because again, if it's something that is pretty random, like a random word, here you also see doesn't look very enticing. This doesn't look very enticing. Koala Golf does also not look very enticing. This Koala Kids Golf, maybe this looks a little bit high quality. And here we have Planet Zoo. So what makes a good capsule art, in my opinion? And again, it's the legibility. Again, when I zoom out here, Planet Zoo, you can still read Planet Zoo. Of course, it's just an add-on to Planet Zoo, but still Planet Zoo is a high quality premium game. And the other thing is the artwork here, the koala is easily identifiable, but still here in the background there is it hints at a lot more. There is something for your eye where you feel like, okay, there is a lot of detail there, and this detail again makes something feel like there is more there. For example, if I look here at this koala kids, okay, the logo, that's a koala, good, the logo is there, but what else is this? All just from the name, and okay, apparently that's a soundtrack, but just from the name I would say, yeah, it's some, I don't know, match 3 game, because there is nothing there. Same thing here with koala golf. There is with these kind of very flat shaded backgrounds, it's super hard to convey something. And of course, you can overdo this because sometimes there is so much going on that text is hard to read. So, and now here we are at things that last half of darkness, which again looks something completely different. So, but here, even when you look at it small, it feels like, okay, this is some sort of a horror game, horror fantasy game, and the text is super legible. So again, this is just my first thoughts when I look at the capsule art. And so what is the issue with this capsule art is, I feel like here what is important about it is not as easily distinguishable when you look at it compared to the original art, because if we look at it in this thumbnail quality here, I mean, it doesn't have a title yet, but the title is very legible, and you can see here, okay, it's 2 things on a board that are battling, and it's on a hex board. Here you can also see that something is happening. This monster or whatever it is here on the right is, it just looks like some shapes. So it doesn't look to me like some sort of monster. It doesn't has the same shape language as the other ghosts here. And I feel like the background is a little bit too strong compared to the foreground. And those would be my only changes. So I've been ranting a lot, so let's see what I've missed there in the chat. You're only an hour in and a half in, not that sidetracked. See, I'm recovering. Would you like the foreground and background layers separately? Oh, if you have it, yes, but otherwise I would just very quickly go over it and cut it out. Thank you, Kirsy, for coffee. Also the automated unicorn. And is it as bad as Hilbert's Hotel? I have no idea what is Hilbert's Hotel. Is this a game? Or is this Hilbert's Hotel? Apparently, it's not a game. So I have no idea what Hilbert's Hotel is. I'm sorry. But just quickly, I can pull this to Photoshop. So no need to separate the foreground from the background here, because I will be just toying around. So don't expect this to be good. Not a game. Yeah, please enlighten me. What is Hilbert's Hotel? This sounds like the trolley problem or something. You know what? I could try and use the Photoshop supplied AI to separate the foreground from the background. But usually I feel like the result is overly soft. And for this, what I'm trying here, I really want here some sharp outlines just to test things out. So this is why I'm going here with the good old lasso tool. So I'm not very concerned with making the outline here super thorough or super matching the shape. Essentially, I just want a quick separation so that we can just test things out. So this looks like some sort of monster, right? So just very quickly put this on its own layer and have here this as a background layer. So I would just go and try to get the separation between those things a little bit better. And for this, I try to make it a bit darker where the characters are, unless the character is very dark. In that case, I would go somewhat brighter and blur it some more. And of course, with capsules, you always need to or want to test them at a small size. So this is why I open here up a new window that we have here, just this little postage stamp, this little thumbnail, where we can see if things are better or worse. So if I switch this on or off, instantly you can see there that the characters are easier to discern from the background. And the downside, of course, is that we lose some of the details and definition in the background. So it's always about, you probably have guessed it, it's always about where to make concessions or finding compromises. So Hilbert's Hotel is a math thing. Okay, and Andrew uploaded the layers in the game dev channel. Thank you. This, of course, makes it easier. This is a very, very striking background image. I like it a lot. So then, of course, it's much easier for me to work with. Thank you. So again, I really adored also the coloring here of the background. This is super nice. So, and here we have the foreground, and if I position it here, or should we put it up? No, I think this should be fine. Again, for the capsule, where is usually the title in the capsule, especially when you're here in the shop list view? Usually the title is, to be easily readable, it's usually all over the place. Some coordinate off there to the left part, as we see here with the last half of darkness or partum artifacts. So usually this is either straight in the center or to the left. You hardly see it on the right. In this case, Fantasy Grounds, this apparently is the main franchise. Or in this case, it's also there on the right. So again, for this, we of course we also need to make sure that it works in that case. But for now, I want to just see how far I can go. But if you want to put the logo there, because the game is called Hex with 2 X's, so it's relatively short, which means that you can have, I would say, in the end, when you want to use this as a capsule, instead of having here this enemy, that you have the title on this side, perhaps. Anyway, what else have I missed? Okay, the Hilbert paradox of the Grand Hotel. What is this? The Infinite Hotel, Hilbert's thought experiment, counterintuitive property of infinite sets. It shows that a fully occupied hotel with infinitely many rooms may still accommodate additional guests, even infinitely many of them. Oh, I have heard this. This sounds... the lecture über das Unendliche. Oh, nice. Yeah. Imagines a hypothetical hotel from 1 to no upper limit. The countably infinite number. Oh, didn't mean to click it. Initially, every room is occupied, and yet new visitors arrive, each expecting their own room. A normal finite hotel could not accommodate. However, it can be shown that the existing guests and newcomers, even an infinite number of them, can each have their own room in the infinite hotel. I think I've heard this somewhere. Didn't know it was called Hilbert's Hotel. Thank you. Learning so much. There's an excellent review of Hilbert Hotel, but I recommend reading up about what it is before watching that. Okay, good. Good then. And it's just 1 minute. So again, this goes on to my watch later, and I'm not logged in, so it goes on the pile. And Kirsy likes it. So it's a review of the hotel. That's... I like this. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. So on one hand, I really, like I said, I adore the colors, this purple and pink. I think this works very well. The only thing is, again, here that we can do this background separation perhaps a little bit better by making it here a bit darker on what's happening here. This is, by the way, this is still the old artwork, so I make this thumbnail view of the new one. I think this is large enough, right? So let's make this dark and blur it. I'm always a fan of blurring something, but if you have something like cartoon art or so, usually you also don't need to blur it. So I also make here this part. Oh no, I painted on the original layer. This means usually to have a drink of something. This is the graphic designer's drinking game. So I want to keep the details that we have here, but just ever so slightly, so that it still reads that there is something on this side, but all you can make out are fine details, but not exactly what is going on there. So again, if you look here at the preview, just from my paint over and with the fog and without the fog, it becomes a bit more legible in smaller sizes. Then again here, as for this monster, again it feels like it belongs to a different game, because here everything is round. We have here the blue bubbles that are round, the red ones that are round. This ghost here that shoots another ghost that is round, and this here is all angular. And we only see this, of course, in the flashes. I mean, of course, it makes sense in the game that everything that is aggressive or is an enemy is different. But again, it feels like this is very two-dimensional, and this one has some sort of volume or depth to it. So instead, I will just try. Oh no, I'm painting again, not on the right layer. There we go. I will instead just quickly try to have here the one that we have here on the left. We'll just flip it over and give it a different color, just to see if the different of the same shape but with a different color would work. So this is a very naive approach at recoloring something, or maybe I can use colorize. Something like so. And I try now to make the background still here around this one also a bit darker. So again, the sad part is we lose some of the great artwork here in the background. But again, you really want the important things, the foreground, to stand out. The hardest part is when I ask a client, when I'm doing something like this, also with color grading, is there is too much happening in this screen. What is important about it? And usually, or sometimes, a client says, well, everything is important. And I say, yeah, I know, but it's not possible. You have to pick and choose. It's the same thing with graphic design. When they say, yeah, we need the logo must be big. Of course, the logo of our company must be big, but also the illustration of the thing must be big, and the screenshot. And of course, the testimonial must also be very big. And of course, the logo type must also be big. Why does it look cheap now? So again, it's always trying to strike a balance. So again, I think I painted here again on the wrong layer, but this is fine. It's not that problematic. So one thing that sometimes works well, in this case probably won't, if I blur here the background, so that it looks like it's out of focus, something like this. But if I switch it on or off now, I mean, the foreground becomes a little bit more legible, but now the background loses it because it's not a photorealistic background or something. So you don't know what these light blue things are that they're supposed to be lightening. So this is usually why I don't try to do this when hand-drawn things, because you want this detail, this hand-drawn thing that was there. So just to show you. And the other thing that also is, when we look at Steam again, or let's instead look at some good things. Let's look at what is currently trending, how they are doing things. So again, lots of detail here. Also, lots of detail here. Here, even with Anno, you can see all this detail that is is hinted at. Not so much in Expedition 33, but this has a very striking artwork. And of course, if you have characters or specific characters that players will like, of course, you put them in the key art. For example, my game will be about beans and candy beans anthropomorphized, and of course I will put them there because if you have some face to look at, even better if it looks right back at you. This I mean, Europa 5 Universalis, this is a super dry strategy game, but they still have a character that is relatively detailed, that is looking at you. So again, here also we have two characters. I mean, they're not looking at us, but again, it's already a little bit better than what we've seen from most other things. Split Fiction here, they emphasize on the different worlds, that you jump between the worlds, because they also have protagonists that might be interesting, but it's always, you have to pick on one thing that you want to convey in your little capsule. So for them, we have two worlds. For Arc Raiders is, okay, you can shoot, and apparently this is some sort of in-game currency. Or Dead by Daylight. I have no idea what this is, but again, it looks like a zombie game or something. Here, Blue Patrol Star Resonance. Okay, Anime Girl must be an RPG. So again, this is just my very first things that I connect with it on a very, again, very subjective, impulsive thing. When I look at something, again here, Solo Leveling, a Rise Overdrive, this looks anime inspired, I would say roguelike, action roguelike or something. So the more you can communicate here, I mean, this looks like it's going to be funny, but because of the game mechanics, a bit like Fall Guys, for example. At least this is what it tells me. So the other thing that we notice is, how do they separate foreground from background? In this case, here with Baldur's Gate, it's this rim light. And again, they have a very high contrast in the image, I would say. Also here, Manalot, super high contrast between foreground and background. What else here? Mega Bonk, again, is the background. Foreground is all very warm, background is all very cool. Where else do we have characters? Again, character looking at us. Cool character with an art style. Or here with Ark Survival, again, very detailed artwork, also very clearly separated from the background. So, and Kirsy says, the people demand beans. Yeah, this is now that I'm free from my pet projects, that is the DOS game and the KC84 retro computer. I will finally get back to finishing my Beans game. It's just not as good as I want it to be, which is the main driver for me to try to make it even better, or not even better, to make it from good to best it can be. So this again is why I just keep tinkering with it. So okay, from what we've learned here or seen with, okay, how can we separate the foreground from the background? I mean, your artist already has here some rim light on it. This is again always super helpful to make things stand out from foreground to background. So in my case, is what I added was here to make the background even darker. You know what? I can blur here this fake depth some more. This depth of field. Again, if I blur it too much, again, it loses this separation there. But overall, you want lots of contrast, and the contrast should be so that, again, it aids here in the separation. So what I would do here, I mean, all these floaty ghosts have here this floaty thing to it, and it works nicely. But again, here for this blobble, for lack of a better term here, what if I take this out? And again, I'm painting over it here. What if we lose here this little glow effect? Because when we look at the small thing here, it looks, we can't be sure, it looks like some smoke, or well, it's hard to tell what it actually looks like. But if I again, you know what, I copy this and we can look at a before and after. So if I take this out, then suddenly it becomes more or less the focus point because it's so high in contrast and defined against the background. So if you look now here at the thumbnail, this thing here really draws you in. The first thing you look at, okay, something is happening and being thrown here. And with the original thing here, it also draws you in, but because it has here this wispiness at the tail end, again, it feels not as much drawn in as this, I feel. Again, we're talking about details now. Since we're on the topic of details now, and I said there are always hints of depth, even in small things as tiny as a capsule, and of contrast. So one thing that I want to bring back here is in the background that I softened by drawing over this big bluish blob. What if I can bring in some more details in parts that aren't that important to the image and aren't getting too contrasty? So if we just look here at the small preview, now by randomly painting in here some highlights, I have to be very cautious that I'm not introducing too much new contrast there, but I'm just making it so that the background feels like it has more detail to it without distracting there from what's happening in front. So one thing, for example, that again for me does not work or work well in this capsule is here this chandelier, because again it blends here together with the background, with the lightning. So what I want to try now real quickly is how it looks if I paint out now the chandelier, just overpaint it. I mean, here we have this background of the draped, what is it, curtains. So if I just paint over here the curtains, or probably I need a bigger tip. And if I can reintroduce it, but just more that it becomes more of a silhouette. Yeah, so very, very cheaply destroying this beautiful artwork, because again it's very nicely done and drawn. I very much like the style. So just to get rid of some of the noisiness there in the background. So you shouldn't be looking at the big version, but here in the top at the small version. And now that here the chandelier is gone, when I switch back and forth, of course it loses some of the, well, I wouldn't say appeal. It loses some of the lush environment, or yeah, this grandeur, this splendor, that's the word, without the chandelier. But it's hard to understand that this is a chandelier until it's gone. So, and also it helps here with the background, because now in terms of colors and the hues, now the background is all blue and purple. And with the chandelier, it also becomes yellow and white. So suddenly there is again a bit more noise going on than necessary. So what I can try now is, what if, like I said, we use the chandelier, but we use it more as a silhouette. So I'm just very quickly trying to paint here the shape. Since again for this paint over, what is important is that here it looks sufficiently discernible in the small preview. So this is why I'm not doing a very good job here. Again, I'm just trying things out. And if I spend too long making the right or trying to match the shape exactly, and then it turns out that it's not working, I spend too much time on it. So let's see if I try it like this. and take out the chandelier. So now this is the chandelier painted out and again as a silhouette. And let's make the silhouette a little bit wider even. So this is why I just copy it and move it about. And I feel like now you have here a space for the logo. Because the chandelier feels like it's giving it lots of, or not lots of, just some more detail for the eye subconsciously. But it's not adding a lot of detail or noise, so to speak. So again, you feel that there are details, but you don't. They don't mess up the composition, or well, messing up is a hard word. They don't interfere with the legibility of it. So if I switch now back and forth between this, just making it here this silhouette. Now here you have something for the title. So let's see. As for the title, again, I'm just very quickly trying out some sort of typography. So the game is called Hex with 2 X's, and what's the feel for it? I also tried this afternoon a little bit with logo types for Hex, but the problem that I'm having is that I'm usually my logo designs and typography, I always lean towards this constructed, electronic, technical feel. So for a Hex, for example, I would have made something like, oh, I do not want sticky keys, thank you. Something like this, just very quickly. But of course, this looks probably doesn't fit with the vibe of the game. That has something that is more, I feel, a little more whimsical and a little more fantasy. So when it's handwritten, oh, of course, I was on the wrong layer again. When I say handwritten, then it looks a little bit like a graphic novel. And again, here, from what I've been drawing, again, here it is really hard to read against the background. So to give myself some room here for the background, and some, again, room in the sense of contrast, room in the dynamics. Again, I try to have here a background that is blurry, and you see how much we lose there from the background, but we aren't really losing it because you can still feel here that there are details in the background, because I added here, when I zoom in, these little highlights and paint strokes there. So again, if you just watch here, look at the small preview there, without and with them, they don't make a lot of sense there, but it just feels like there is a bit more there than you can spot. Otherwise, if I take it out, it feels like, yeah, this is all just one color or silhouetted. So again, this is why I like some nonsensical highlights in some parts. But let's turn down the opacity a little bit. Again, it shouldn't be overbearing. Kirsy says, Phil, do you still like your Finesweeper capsule art, or any of these critiques retroactively apply to it? Of course, yeah. The Finesweeper capsule art, this was my first capsule art, and would I do it differently today? Probably. But since Finesweeper is not selling anymore a lot, I don't mind that I do not come back to it. But of course, the Finesweeper capsule art I made 15 years ago, and I would say there, or let's look Minesweeper, and if we hopefully we find Finesweeper at some point here. Oh dear, no, because I also tagged it as Minesweeper. There we go. So I mean, it's grayed out because it's already in my library. But if we zoom in, you see here it's between the cheaper ones. So this, I'm fond of, you know what, I will click it, that we have it here a little bit bigger. I'm very fond of the logo because the blue and the yellow and this warning sign, this triangle, and with the shape of the warning sign, usually this has somewhat ingrained for us to catch our attention. So this is the very cheap idea why I went with it. And also it roughly fits the theme. So this is why, yeah, Frank says, I recognize the yellow. I'm not sure if it's 100% the correct yellow, but you know what? I will just pick this color and then we can check it if it is the yellow. Because the yellow that my goldenrod yellow is FFCB00. This is my goldenrod yellow. So if I paint there over it, okay, it's a bit brighter. My goldenrod is a little bit brighter, but let's first check the hue, because I think with the hue we're kind of very close, very similar. So color, I'm still in the zoomed in. So this is the hue of my goldenrod, and this is the hue of the other. Okay, so you can see here the hue jumps a little bit. So this is slightly redder than my goldenrod. But yeah, for some reason, yellow has always been my favorite color, and I didn't know it until a couple of years ago. But yeah, as for the Pixel Prophecy, the Finesweeper capsule, what I like about it again is here this strong focus and that you can clearly read the title. Copyright by Pixel Prophecy, absolutely unnecessary. I would take this out. Also here with the background, I mean, I like it that it looks that it appears to give some sort of depth to it, but it doesn't tell you a lot. I mean, in a small thing, you don't understand that these are bombs. And if it weren't for the name that sounds a lot like Minesweeper, you wouldn't understand that it's a Minesweeper thing. So usually, nowadays I would make things differently. For example, I would have somehow this grid in the background and maybe some bombs there and show perspective and maybe even have an explosion going off somewhere so that it's just a little bit more gripping. But again, I like it that it's very, very legible. I mean, yellow and black, this is a high contrast by itself. You also you don't want an old year in the capsule. That's the thing. I mean, if you think, hey, you know what? I'm itching for a Minesweeper game. Let's have a look at this. Okay. Wow, 2015, this is 10 years ago, and this was version 1.2. This is that old. And yes, it is that old. So this is probably also why the sales of it have utterly dried up. Because again, it looks sufficient, but not very appealing compared to what nowadays we all have. I mean, I like the selection there of the thumbnails, because I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself since we're still here working with the capsule. But one thing with the thumbnails is there on the first page, you want to show variety. So if your game has variety, it's good to show it here. So this is why the first screenshots are super... I spent a lot of time selecting the right ones, which ones to show, because if you just look at this page and you see different colors. Okay, so there's a blue world, a green world, a red world, a yellow world, and something big happening. Wow. And again, this happens all very subconsciously. When you look at the game, you don't really think about it. You just look down here. The one thing that I don't like, for example, is here that the trailer here and have the main menu. I would take this out because this is essentially the same color. And again, it looks a bit samey. Let's go back to Koala that we've had before. Koala. Did I mistype it? Yes, I did. Let's look at something that looks a little bit cheap. Let's see here, koalas and guy, and let's have a look at the thumbnails here. You know what? This actually doesn't look too bad, because again, it also shows you that there is variety. I mean, the colors essentially, or the art style here, it clashes. We have here pixel art and photos in the background and some very stylized and flat, I would say, VGA art. Yeah, this does not work together, and I think this is part of the fun of it. But again, let's see if we can find a really bad one. I'm the koala. Yeah, and see down here, I mean, there is variety, but overall it looks super dark. And I wouldn't hear from this. Even the trailer doesn't help the game a lot, because it looks like a super punishing platformer. Also from the movement, this ain't Mario. So when I just click here through, it looks very samey. For example, this one looks very similar to that one. And yeah, these are all the thumbnails that we have. So again, my point being is, again, you want to show something dark, something light, something colorful, something with a discolored. Again, all the biggest variety that you have. This is also why with Finesweeper I have some explosions going off, because they are otherwise it kind of looks samey, right? So that's, and thank you for redeeming a unicorn. Perfect timing. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, thank you for asking. So absolutely. With every year I learn something new. And of course, this means when I look at my old artwork, I would do things differently. So let's assume that we will really go with this hand-drawn hex style. Maybe I can give it a little bit more character by, on one hand here, going with white. Again, just increasing the contrast here against the background. And because it's hex, does this mean it's also bewitched or something? Maybe. So maybe we can have, I don't know, some, as a little graphical element, maybe here some stars or something. I don't know if this makes sense, but just to give the logo here something that it, or maybe here this H in front here, this tail, makes it look like a different letter. And again, you want to remove friction as much as possible. So if you think like, is this letter really, I mean, it makes sense that this is an H once you've read it, but of course you make sure that it's at the first glance that it's legible. So talking about things that are legible, I want to work here a little bit more on the artwork here in the front, because I think we're already in good shape. I want to, because this board here, this game board, is front and center, literally. I also want to emphasize this even more. So, and for that brush, I want to add some more rim lights and outlines. This is usually my go-to, is just make rim lights and outlines and to increase the contrast. So, you know what, I will go with white and a smaller brush. That's even too big. Something like this. And again, I always check here in the thumbnail view, am I doing things, am I helping things or making things worse there? And again, I feel like there could be a bit more contrast to these blobs there. Okay, the automated unicorn just posted something. So maybe even the hex board needs some more, that it's much more obvious that these are hexagonal shapes. So this again also to really hone in that the game is called Hex and it deals with a lot of hexagons. So now that I'm using this very fat and ugly outline there, but in the capsule you can see how much more legible or how more emphasized these hexes now are compared to what we've had before. So if I switch it on or off, even in the capsule, the hexes come very clearly across. So as here for the little bloblets, I will try to give them more, again, more of a feeling of three-dimensionality and detail. So I'm just shading them a bit more. So I'm not doing a very good job, but just so that there is a bit more contrast. So essentially, I'm just painting a sharpen filter to it. This was ugly. That's an ugly color, this greenish thing here. So let's go with something a bit more yellow. Why is this always coming out this green? And now that I'm looking at it, the fire here in the background does not clearly read that this is burning. I mean, is it important that it's burning? Probably not. So, I mean, we could emphasize that this is burning. And since this is also bright and the background is very bright, what do? You probably know the answer. Just darken the background then. So I take here this, again, the same purple that we have, this dark purple that we have in the background. But I make this now, the brush, very soft. And just try to give it some sort of undefined fog in the background. So just that it does not touch here the fire. And again, when you look at the capsule art here, the small preview, suddenly this looks much more like that you can clearly see the fire. Of course, now the downside is here the background of the board. I mean, I need to make the transition there very smooth. So let's blur this. Not that strongly, but maybe like this. Duplicate it so that I can blur it again. And again. So now this is very blurry, but I will decrease the opacity in a bit. I just want to make sure that I get here the outline correct. Also here. And maybe there on the blue. So if I turn this down, just slightly. So again, if we look here at the thumbnail, you can see that there is something behind this red blob. So if I switch it on and off, you can see how it adds to this contrast. Again, the downside of this is now we lose some of the background of this, this is this hex field. Again, the important question is, what is, well, the importance of importance to us? Do we want to convey, okay, these things burn? Do we want to convey, yeah, it's a hexagonal game board? And I think the hex board is, since the game is called Hex, is more important than that this is on fire. So in that case, I would leave it out and leave it as it is. So the blobs here, I made them a little bit more three-dimensional, poorly, but still. Again, this is a question. How important are they? Can we diminish it a little bit and still look good there? I think I would say so, yes. So, and as again here for the logo type that I made blue for some reason, because in this case we say, yeah, blue is this ghost here. We are the good ones. For example, if I want to make it of a different color here with red, now it balances out a little bit. We can also try a completely different color in between. So this turquoise might clash a little bit, but it's picked up here in the head of the ghost. So again, or maybe this purple here, which works very well with the background, if we want to give it a color. I always like it, as you can see here, when the text has some sort of three-dimensionality to it. So maybe I can lean into this and paint in some more, maybe some shadows. So as if the text here is overlapping with itself. So again, you can see there in the thumbnail how much is too much. Because again, if there is too much contrast in the text, it becomes, it messes with the legibility. And of course, always go for the legibility. So again, I'm fighting here with Photoshop as usual. So if again, just looking at the preview, I think I overdid it slightly. So I will just overpaint everything there with the opacity of, let's say, 20%. And just paint over the shadows that are painted. what always, in my opinion, works best is this implied detail. I think I've said this multiple times now. That is, if you look at something super small, it just looks like, in this case, I mean, probably in the stream, it already looks very small. It looks like that this is just some light pink, light rose text. But here, when you zoom in, suddenly you see, oh, okay, it's a slight 3D shape. And again, this is, it always feels to me at least pretty interesting when you see something bigger and there is more information to it. Because again, brains love patterns and also love detail but if everything is detail, it becomes noise. So it feels like it's always this balancing where you want to have something that is detail that is of importance, and in this case it's the foreground and the logo, and where there is detail that is not that important but still visible. So here in the background, it's those highlights that are painted on. Again, if I turn them off or on, suddenly it loses a little bit when I turn them off. But of course, you could argue it makes the image a little bit clearer. Again, this, in the end, since it's going to be compressed on the socials and so on, it's probably a matter of taste. One thing now is, as for contrast, I want to try here and go overall with a little bit more contrast. So if I give it here this slight curve to it, what does the additional contrast do? Well, of course, it makes it more contrasty, but the downside is now here the blue blobbles, they become actually less legible than as we had it before. So if I turn here, for example, down the brightness in the highlights and make a different kind of curve, suddenly it becomes dark. This looks now like it's more of a spooky game, for example. And so even those small changes compared to the other capsule artworks, I mean, they're all artworks. Again, it really is, what do you want to emphasize there? So you know what, I will take this out. And one thing that I want to try is what I did here for the red ones. For the blue ones, let's see if I can go overboard with the saturation now. If I can make it very saturated. So I need my opacity to turn up the opacity. What happens when it's very saturated there? Does this help or does it not help? And I think, no, it does not really help. I mean, here, what the saturation did, it's not the saturation, it's just because it's darker. It's again, it has a better contrast. So if instead I just increase here the contrast by going slightly darker here, let's just keep the eyes. Again, it loses some of the nice appeal of the artwork when I'm doing this. So I'm not sure if that's a good call. And this is why I do these quick paint overs, is so that I can always switch them on and off and instantly see there a change. So in this case, I think having them darker, again, more contrast, it doesn't look as nice as before because of my very poor paint over job. But in the capsule, you can see that it's quickly grown in contrast, in perceived contrast there. So anything else that perhaps I would change when I'm looking at this? Again, this is very, very personal. And if you say it looks much worse than before, fair enough. So one thing that is also a bit hard to understand for me when I look at this is that this one here is holding a book, because here in the capsule art from the book I only see the pages there at the sides. So to me it looks like he's holding a, if you're a kid and you draw birds or seagulls, essentially you just make these wide W shapes, and it looks like, why is there a W shape floating? So again, I will just try to make here this to give here the book some outline here. It does not make sense in terms of how the lighting here works. So this is why I will just overdo it a little bit. And now it's a bit clearer that this one is holding something. There on the other, it's the same problem. So what if I make here this part of the hand also darker? Again, now I'm kinda in treacherous waters now, because I might overdo things. So if you are the original artist of this artwork and you are now furious with me, yes, I totally understand it. Because I'm just, essentially I'm seagulling, which means to just fly in, shit all over everything and then fly away. So what I'm doing now is this blue robe here. Again, when I'm looking at it, the blue robe didn't quite make sense to me. But like I said, now I'm probably already gone overboard here into trying to and painting things out that are actually integral to the piece here. So now, for example, here that I've painted out here the tie and the robe. And one thing that I also feel like now, of course, the little mouth here, you can't see it here in the capsule art. You don't see it at all. So this is, okay, damn it. I'm sorry for shitting all over this. But there is for the mouth. See here now, it's much more legible. And if I give it here maybe this dark outline, it looks like it has even been sharpened. So yeah, this probably was too much now here. So if I turn this on or off, it completely changes here the character of the character. And of course, through my painting over, I take out a lot of depth information. So through the tie and the jacket or robe, you could see that this is really a volume in 3D that has a certain orientation. And while I paint over it, suddenly it becomes very flat in comparison. And to counter this flatness, of course, what do? Well, you start shading and adding highlights and you try to imply that there is some light bouncing off certain shapes or certain parts. And I'm again trying to do this that the standout from the background is maintained. So probably I went, like I said, treacherous waters, and I probably went overboard there. Yeah, the brush was way too wide. So again, I'm going all in when it comes here to these rim lights and things. And this was, of course, too much, so I'm taking this down. And if you just look here at the small preview on top, I tried now here to give it more depth with a ring light, but or rim light, not ring light, but utterly failed, I feel. So if we watch here the before and after, now it looks like a gelatinous blob or something, because the light here is scattering, and I'm not even sure what's happening when I zoom in. I'm not even sure what's happening down here anymore. Is this some sort of mist? Is this supposed to be a droplet of water, this entire character? So again, I overdid it. But this is why quick paint overs are so helpful. You can quickly experiment and play around with it. So you know what? I will save this now as something. So Hex Capsule paint over version 1, and so that we can see with the things that I changed. Was it, are those good changes? What did I change here? I don't remember. So let's see the before and after. So this was the capsule art before, the small one. So I just paste it here over on top so that we can flip back and forth. So if we look here at the small capsule art now, and if I flip back and forth, I think it became more legible of what it is about. On the downside is it became a bit darker because of these deep purples. I really enjoy and like here this very nice sky that goes from rose to purple to dark blue, and also the chandelier. This I kind of like. But of course, it made the image a little bit busy and a little bit hard to read, as I always say. So this would be my suggestion, is already a strong word. My take on it, if I were to make this game and this is what I would have to work with, how I would have made it. Cheers, by the way. I'm almost done with my matcha latte. And of course, yeah, the logo is a different matter, of course, because again, this is just some very quick handwriting. Maybe, of course, the world of typography is wide and vast. What I always feel works best is when you start with some font and then to make it a type, a type mark, I think that's what it's called, is to just change one letter of it. Again, if we look here at the Steam things, for example, here, Ghost. This is a font, but the O is two mountains because that's part of the game. Or here, Rogue Trader. So the T, everything looks kind of normal, but the T here is also this compass rose and of certain importance. Here with the Anno series, the A is missing the bar. I mean, you can still read it, but now it looks, of course, much more Roman, because here it's the same font down here, and here the A does have its bar. Ball X pit. So the important part here is the X, and of course this is emphasized here. So you get the drift here. Battle Brothers, I don't see anything where one letter has been emphasized. The first thing that came to mind was here the Fallout series, because yeah, those are all in my library. But here the O has this electric lightning bolt in there. Otherwise, it's a regular font. And in your case, since it's hex but with two X's, maybe you can emphasize one of the X's or make them differently. Oh, Andrew wrote, thank you so much for the paint over and critique. This is helpful feedback as I work on refining the capsule images. Oh, you're very welcome. I'll give a shout out to Kiana Mossa, who is my illustrator for the capsule. Oh yes, absolutely, because it's a beautiful artwork. Like I said, I'm sorry for obscuring so much of it because it looks so nice. She's incredibly good. Everyone, please go check out her work. Yeah, thank you for the shout out. Artists have it hard nowadays. Oh, she even does pixel art. Oh, this is wonderful. Very, very cool. Oh my God, look at this. Look at it. Oh, it's so lush. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Wonderful, wonderful art. And also what is good is the watermark, because human people watching at this will just go, okay, yeah, there's a watermark. It's harder to steal, and especially if you're an AI or something. The funny thing is, was this Midjourney or something where even the AI would create watermarks, because of course it scraped watermark pictures, and this was a clear tell that it wasn't supposed to, because if you use something with a watermark, it's just for viewing, not for using. So yeah, thank you for the shout out. Very, very lovely illustration. So yeah, again, you're very welcome. Hope this my train of thought when doing these kinds of artworks helped you on one hand or the other, or at least it made sure that you're much happier with the original artwork. And in that case, I say anything if it helped in one way or the other, I'm content with it. So I still have about half an hour on today's program, and I'm just looking at over my little set list that I have, but I think I've mentioned everything that I wanted to mention, even the Yoshi mug. So as for art, I thought that I needed some artwork for my Beans game, and the only thing is with this illustration, I'm having such a hard time. So this is why it's always good to have an illustrator, because they're much better than you and much faster than you. At least in my case, is I would say, yeah, I know my way around a paintbrush, a digital one at least, and especially with colors, because yeah, that's my daily bread and butter. But to arrive at something that has a certain look and shape to it, as for example here with my Beans game, the key art, this one here. I think you were, some of you were present in the stream. This was so hard and took me so long to arrive at something that looked relatively nice in comparison. So, and of course, I also want to have more of these artworks throughout the game. And at this point, I realized I need to find a way to minimize the amount, or not just the amount, just the fidelity of the paintings, where it still gives off this fairy tale vibe, but is not that hard, or doesn't take me that long to draw. So, and usually, as some of you know, my style when painting is I usually start with a very dark canvas. Usually it's just black, and then I paint in a single light source or two. And the only downside is, of course, I don't think that this works for this fairy tale like game, because this would be too dark. Not just visually, but also in a sense of if you're in a fairy tale and everything is black and there are just some things, just some pale silhouettes drawn, it already gives you a nightmarish vibe, or something that is uncanny or doesn't look right. The title screen is looking really. Oh, thank you. Yeah. The longer and the more often I look at it, the more I feel it needs more details. Just what I said. Maybe here some light to differentiate this edge there from the background. Just maybe some more definition there on the roof tiles, that sort of thing. So the longer and the more I look at it, the more flaws I see. But the good thing about this is, if you look at it in thumbnail size, again, for this I already have the capsule and so on. It works very well. And again, in the end, it's always about what is the priority of things. Because you can't have everything at once, you need to focus on something. But actually, this is quite good, because as we all know, a game that tries to please everyone doesn't please really anyone sufficiently. So how can I do here a flat fill? It's been so long that I've painted in Krita that it's been a while. So layer, create new fill layer. There we go. So usually my approach to painting is I start here with a fill layer, because my name is Phil, and then start here with some sort of brush. And usually I go with certain colors, very strong colors, and then just paint in like, okay, some light is hitting this surface. Well, what kind of surface is it? Well, it could be a tree trunk. Maybe it is. And then I figure out just from painting what actually it is that I'm painting, or if something emerges just from random paint strokes. And of course, like I said, this doesn't gel too much there with the fairy tale appeal of it. So now maybe we have something again, just this green thing that grows here, looks somewhat sinister, right? So let's get rid of this. So for fairy tale feel, what I could try is, instead of starting with a black layer, why not start with something that is already friendly, like a blue layer or something? So fill layer. Oh dear, this is intense. So let's start something here with this light blue. And if I try the same approach from before, where I just paint with just paint in where the light hits, but already there is a lot of light. So if I paint now something here, this looks like it's some sort of smoke. So again, I'm not really sure how to approach this thing. For example, I want to draw a library or an alchemist's laboratory. But again, I also don't want to spend hours, if not days, just painting little bottles everywhere. So again, I think this already is a solved problem by illustrators, but I haven't figured it out just yet of how to do this. One idea was to draw something and just with a very, very big brush, so that I can't really do details as much as I usually would do, so where it's very literally just the broad strokes of something. So right, let's say that we have can I change the color of a fill layer? I forgot how to do this. Yeah, let's get rid of this and create a new fill layer. So let's say if I wanted to make, let's say, the alchemist's laboratory. So I would say, okay, the default color would be something of a muted brown like this. And on top of this, I just paint in everything that is a little bit darker and everything that is a little bit brighter. And undo, please. And from there, just inch my way forward. So of course, the first... Oh, that is not the brush that I wanted. Or is it? No, that is. It's a good brush. Oh no. If I used the brush too large, apparently it does not work. It's the pencil, by the way, that I try to use. So what's it here with the marker? The other thing is that I've learned when it comes to illustrating is people say, yeah, just limit yourself to a couple of brushes. And this is really, it took me a while to understand that it's a little bit like with brushes, it's a little bit like with colors or fonts. 2 or 3 are nice, but then it starts to feel a little bit random. So this is usually why I just pick a couple of brushes, one for the broad strokes, one for the details, and one to shade and put in more depth, and like 3 brushes, and that's it. I mean, of course, I'm using different sizes, but okay. So let's say an alchemist's laboratory. We have, oh dear, perspective. That's another thing, and of course, it's set there in a circular tower. So that's another issue. And the one thing is that I'm not very creative when it comes to layouts and architecture or something. I just say, okay, laboratory, well, what does it need? An alchemist, probably some shelves, maybe some sort of working space here. This could be it. And maybe a light source. So maybe we could have here a window or something. And here might be stairs. And yeah, and that's it. And then it comes to, okay, how should the ceiling look like? Well, I don't know. Maybe some wooden beams there. Does this make sense? And that's how I question it. And the other thing is, of course, when it comes to perspective, I'm usually very lazy. I mean, I know how to construct perspective, but yeah, it's hard to stick to it. So let's say that this is my layout roughly. So now the first thing or the next thing is to see how the light there behaves. So here it should be dark. Or let's try this again with just less opacity so that I can make things lighter or darker as need be and not just go all black there. So I say that this here is my light source. Why did I darken the light source? So, okay, let's instead go bright first and say, okay, here is my window. This is the light source and it hits here the ground in front. Maybe casts here some light into the shelves. And maybe there from the stairs there's something. And some items here on this desk also. Should I paint some, also get some lightness here. Then, of course, there is some brightness there on the ceiling, and that's about it. Because if everything is bright or lit, then again, you want to limit yourself. This is usually my rule, is the 80-20 rule. There are different names for this rule, but it is, for example, if you have like 20% of one color, then it stands out when 80% is of a different color. The same thing goes pretty much for anything, not only visual, but for, I would say, anything artistic. For example, if you have in the mix sound and everything is the same volume, but if you have one instrument that is sitting at 80% and the others are sitting at 20%, suddenly it, of course, the 80% one becomes more important. Or if it comes to sequencing, well, if you have one instrument that you only hear 20% of the time of a song, it becomes something special. It's like the good old guitar solo that follows this rule. And same thing here is for artworks. Again, 10% or 20% of a certain color makes this color stand out. Or everything is noisy, or 20% is noisy and 80% aren't noisy. Then, of course, the noisy parts stand out, or vice versa. So I'm just trying to figure still out where the brightness should be here. And I'm also making here this a bit darker. Does this feel like a place? Not really. So these shelves maybe need to be darker. And again, I think the darkest is here behind these shelves there. Maybe where the light from the window doesn't hit. And here again, it's becoming much darker. Outlines are blurring away. Yeah, that's, on one hand, that's a good thing, because this is a more impressionist way of things, of painting. I mean, when we have here the wooden beams that I have here are in line to the window. So if I have, I mean, if I have one bar that goes horizontal to it, then it would cast a shadow, which might be nicer. So if I take here out some of the bright highlights that I have here, bright highlights is also wrong. So those are my reference lines. I'm always using the wrong shortcuts now that I'm coming from Photoshop. So the walls could be this hewn stone. And again, here the small thumbnail check. So what is important in this image? Where is your eye drawn to? Of course, to the light source there. So everything that is not important probably might here go onto the shelves. So, and if I take out here the highlights, no, not the highlights, the outlines, it's still somewhat legible, but now it needs some more details. So I will just try to add, let's go here with a different hue, with a different color, and start making things a bit gray. And for that, I use a different blending mode. How did I do this? There we go. The blending mode should be then color. So we will keep the brightness here, and I'm just trying out now here that the walls are this cold gray, and then I will go for some blue here for the highlights, because brown and blue looks kind of nice, but no, this is not working. This is not working. What if I again increase the contrast perhaps? What if I say, okay, the window is really bright. So that it's a bit more impressionist. So that it feels like, yeah, this is already burning out in your vision. And maybe it casts some things here, casts some specular highlights where it is. For example, when there are bottles there. So those should be the highlights on the bottles. And maybe there are on the beams, they are polished somewhat. Yeah, I don't know what I'm inferring here. So I just painted here some highlights. So underneath these highlights, let's do the opposite and just try and paint something that is relatively dark. For example, here the beams, where I said maybe my brush is too small. Maybe that's too dark. So whatever is having highlights is maybe casting some shadows here. And as for the bottles, they also need some backside. Then we had here, oh, that's no, that's too intense. Turn down the opacity somewhat. Let's see if I can bring something to it. But again, like I said, this is the problem, that I'm not that original or creative enough where some people say, yeah, here comes a trim, and this is maybe a chandelier, and there we have some, I don't know, ornaments. And when I look at it, I feel like, yeah, of course, this makes sense. But when it's like I should come up with it myself, I hardly do. So, okay, here I'm going for some shelves. You know what? There could be maybe some books there in the shelf. So I'm trying now with a very just slightly different hue, maybe a bit lighter, so that I can just hint at things that are stored here. This is red. Let's go something that's a bit green. There are just not much. Maybe there is a carpet there. How about something that's a bit blue? And again, I don't want to overdo it with the colors. I think I already did, because this blue is very saturated, and blue is an uncommon color. When everything is more brown or earth toned. But again, since this is supposed to be an alchemist lab, maybe we can say, yeah, those are different contents of bottles. So here, as for the books, let's give them maybe some gold trims. Differentiate them a bit. Then have here book lying at the side. Again, it's it's about inferring things and not about drawing the details that I'm currently trying to do. But since, like I said, it's not my usual style, so this is why I'm struggling a lot. So picking this color here. So of course we need where there is no light or where the chance of light is smaller, things should be darker. So on top of the bookshelves, there is not a lot of light reaching there, so it should be darker. As well as here, maybe there is a gap in the books, and there's one here in front. And I'm just drawing random patterns. Not that random, but I'm just trying to just hint at things. There are things, and the back of the shelf is dark. So what you see here, what is not dark, is what's in the foreground. So if I see if I can figure out myself what it is. Maybe there is a bottle or a jug of some kind. There's some stuff lying there on the ground. Maybe one is broken. Maybe this one still has some sort of liquid in there that is reflecting the light differently, or it's refracting the light. Yeah, I'm really forcing myself not to be concrete with anything, in the hopes that, again, I can get away with, okay, this feels like a place, but I'm not really seeing everything in this place. So I just get a vague feeling as a player of where I am. So, for example, that this is not the kitchen, for example. Maybe there's something on the wall. Oh, right, we said that this was the stairs. Maybe the stairs lead to somewhere else where there is also light coming from. Or it's not clear what this blue blob here is. Never mind then. There we go. And it's gone. So maybe the blue here could be the reflection on the ground. And the ground is, again, I'm trying for something that looks a little bit stony. But this blue-gray, again, I'm not sure whether it's working. Andrew says, in fact, you're vague with the details. I think it'll be more effective at players being able to fill in the details with their imagination, since it's a text-based game after all. Exactly. This is sometimes one of the legend adventures, or some of the legend adventures that were also text games, but they had pretty well done illustrations, and lots of them. And the downside of this was that you would see something in the pictures that you could not interact with or pick up when you were interacting with the game, because of course this was just the artist's interpretation of the scene. And so the more the more concrete you are with your drawings, the more players feel like, but I'm seeing the thing and it's not mentioned there in text or it. So you're right. Players should have enough to fill in the details for themselves, but not be where it's too much, where they see things that aren't there. Also text adventures also had some of the problems where it was like, you want to go north, but the crowd is blocking you. I think was one of the examples from Bob Bates. And so players thought, okay, so I need some to disperse the crowd somehow. But this was not the thing where it's like, yeah, there is nothing there in this game. there is nothing for you to do when you go this route. And so you have to be also with your messages very, very thorough when you tell players where they cannot go. And it's not because there is a puzzle there, but it's just the world ends at this juncture. So yeah, this thing here in the back is maybe a bit too dark, and I can't draw a straight line. So if I can find some sort of light source back there, some excuse for one, maybe this would help. Or do we like it that it has here this feeling of, okay, there is something unknown there. But what if there is another window that is casting some light on things there? I will just try this out. But of course, now since there is light, all the darkness there does not make sense. Anyway, you shall not pass, says Frank. Indeed. You shall not pass judgment. So as for my experiment of trying things out, I would say it's not that bad, but I'm not that good at drawing. So probably when I want to keep pursuing this kind of art style, so that it doesn't look too amateurish, I probably need to practice a lot more. And again, these kind of fantasies, environments are not my strong suit. So again, I need to keep things as much in the dark and vague as possible. YNOC says, finally able to catch a stream live for once. Thank you, YNOC. I don't know for how much long I'll be streaming, but I'm glad to have you. Right now, I'm trying to paint an artwork for my upcoming text game. And my goal is to have something that looks not shabby, but also not too concrete, because and also something that I'm able to draw. So again, I'm trying to just hint at things and not tell them outright through shading or something. So again, it's where I'm currently just exploring different avenues there. Is that game Magic Beans? Yes, indeed. Thank you for remembering. Yes, it's about the magic beans. So yeah, the beams there on the ceiling do not look beams like at all, and probably should. Again, I'm just making strokes, paint strokes where I don't think there should be any. So but you know what I like? I like these sprinkles there of color. So maybe there is some sort of carpet that we didn't really know existed. There is some sort of little wall there. And to the upstairs, there are stairs that lead upwards. Then maybe we have here a little arch. Again, I'm coming up with explanations and details as I'm drawing them. I'm still not sure if here this arch should be dark or light, or if it's an arch at all. Or arc? No, it's arch. Kersey said, the wizard must be jealous being overshadowed by his beans. Yeah, that's really a problem with the wizard. He's quite, let's say, easily angered. So I think this kind of looks like some sort of carpet there. Maybe if I give it here some shading as well. So it's not clear that this is here a table in front, right? So this could also be just some sort of open space there. But if it's an open space, you know what? Maybe what if there are some things piled up there against the wall? And oh wow, the first time we get someone here. Where is my banhammer? There we go. Gift a sub. Well, that was not gifting a sub. Anyway. So thank you, by the way, everyone, for sticking with me. Where I'm just trying to figure things out for me here. But I feel like this is also a part of the fun when it comes to making art. Where it's one thing is, of course, when you know exactly what you're doing, and it's just fun getting there, because it's like a game where you're very good at. The mechanics aren't the fun part anymore, or figuring out what where to go is the fun part, but it's actually the entire experience. And for me right now, the fun part here is more or less like trying to figure out what I actually want, or where it needs to go here. So maybe there leans something against it. I'm not quite sure what it is or what it could be. So maybe we can have even darker shadows there. Because the light is the window. So, and it's coming here from the window. Oh, maybe there are some wooden planks there on the floor. I kind of like this, actually. Something is... that's too strong. The reflection here is too strong. But again, we can have maybe some here in the shelf. Because again, Alchemist's Laboratory, maybe there's a lot of little glass bottles and things there. And they pick up here the light. You know what? It's a little bit slanted and weird, but I kind of like it, actually. And Frank says, bah, look away for 2 minutes. Yeah, and then suddenly we have a spammer. But it's all good, because they were watching you and made sure that as soon as you're gone, they drop by. So here we have this arch. I think that's what it is. And there's some stairs, maybe, or steps leading up. But you can't really tell. Oh, that's too bright. Or is it? No, now this looks like another window. Or like a mirror. Yeah, but doesn't make sense. I would have had to write in a mirror. I want there to hint at a light source, or maybe that it's just a little bit brighter. Where this leads to. Nah, never mind. I think that's as good as it gets. Yeah, this front part here, I think these highlights, I need to take them out because they don't make any sense. There is nothing that reflects that. So maybe, you know what, I draw here now the window anew. Okay, that's the outlines. This is the window. Okay, then. If I make it a little bit more concrete what it is, but yeah, now it looks like a beetle. Now this glow, implied glow, I kind of liked, actually. That we had here some reflections there. I mean, I said I don't like the reflections, and now I'm painting them in again, but slightly different. So that's okay if they're slightly different. So back to this layer here. So there is here something on the wall. Maybe there are also shelves there on the wall. With things on them. What kind of things? Well, probably some potion bottles. Hard to tell what's on there. Maybe some scrolls piled up. And since I'm roughly shading it, again, you as the person watching or playing this are encouraged to figure out for yourself what it is that you're seeing there. So maybe here at the end of this shelf, maybe there's also something piled up. Or is there maybe, look at that, maybe some sort of barrel? Yeah, the perspective does not work. But is there something stacked on top of the barrel? Looks like there is barrel in the crate. Or am I too concrete again? Might be. I don't even mind what's happening there on the ceiling anymore. Looks like, I mean, it has some character to it, but you can't really tell what the actual ceiling looks like. Is this somehow extruded from the top? What's it there with the strong black shadows? Maybe they're a bit too strong. If I can get rid of them slightly. And the wooden bars, maybe a bit also too bright. Or not bright enough. Art, always so hard. So now I give here this archway something shiny. Also here, maybe say some parts here reflect the light a little bit more than other parts. Again, I have to make sure that I don't overdo it with the specularity. Because again, 10% or 20% maximum of something, not because again, if you have a super cool colored light source and you fall in love with it and then you put it everywhere and suddenly it looks like dirt because it's everywhere. So as for maybe this wall here needs to be where the window is, needs to be generally a little bit brighter to hint at something like maybe there is some atmospheric fog or haze going on, so that again the shelf it's all about contrast, so that the shelf stands out a bit better. I think I'll be off to sleep soon, says Frank. And all good, Frank. Maybe me as well, because it's already after midnight. And I just wanted to give this a very quick try. And while I mean, maybe I'm not using that particular painting in the game, I think maybe I've hit something that might work with this kind of art style, where it's very impressionist, and because I was leaning to the side, it also looks like a bit slanted. But overall, I think I will leave it at that. Again, it's kind of curious that here these green things. What are those stains there that I painted there? And I think, you know what? Everyone can figure it out by themselves. Are they maybe some potions that have been turned over at some point and stained the floor? I mean, probably maybe there has been some sort of accident at some point. So if I squint and look at it, you know what? I will save this for starters, because I haven't saved it so far. So, and with that, I think I will call it a day, because I fear that the super strong coffee is wearing off. So projects, let's put this onto art, digital painting, and call this fantasy sketches, alchemists lab version 01. And also save this as, let's save this as a JPEG in case I want to view it at some point. And cool. With that, I say thank you. And YNC says, all this work and no saving. You're evil. You're not the first to say this to me. And also, when I start doing something and it's just a sketch, I don't need to save it. And after half an hour, I think, have I saved this? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm just so into it. And after 1 hour, Photoshop says critical assertion failure and crashes. And this is usually when I drop some F-bombs. It doesn't happen as often. Usually sometimes I save like 3 times just to be sure that it really saved. But when I'm starting with something new, I forget regularly to save. This sometimes has bit me in the ass. I've grown better, but yeah, I completely forgot to save. I hope when you're working at work, you save often. That's the thing. First, cheers. Thank you, Kirsy. That's the thing with my color grading software. That's DaVinci Resolve. And they started, I think, 5 or 6 versions back. So it's I think over 10 years already implemented. Is this live save feature, because all the projects are organized like a database. So essentially, when you're working on a shot, as soon as you skip to the next shot, it automatically saves all the changes, because this software crashes a lot. And sometimes, I mean, it makes sense if you have like 20 timelines with 500 shots each, and sometimes with noise reduction going on and weird, sometimes even compositing, infusion going on. Yeah, things become a little bit unstable and it crashes often. But the good thing is it saves. The only thing about what we've had at work is this one plugin for noise reduction that is called Neat Video. And in Resolve, you can set it, for example, when you're working and you step aside for like 5 seconds. So you can say after 5 seconds, hey, please start caching all the noise reduction. So that when you come back, how far it had gotten already, these things have been cached and do not need to be recalculated. The downside was when you have set this bar too low, where in my case I had it at 2 seconds. So whenever I'm not moving or changing anything for 2 seconds and only moving the mouse pointer, it starts to cache. And of course, then you're much more likely when you just look at something, 1-2 seconds pass, and after another second or half a second, you begin working again. Because this caching stopped and started so often, at some point it corrupted the entire database file of the project. And my God, this was the worst day I've had at work, because then you have to open it in my SQL database viewer or inspector, and everything is just UUIDs. And then you have to have these like 46-bit random numbers that refer, every shot has an ID, every clip has an ID, every node has an ID, and you have to figure out where the problem is and how to deactivate it. Madness. So to answer your story, to answer your question, no, I do not save often at work because the program does it for me. Frank says, sounds like fun. Yeah, corrupted, that's horrible. It only happened once, but and I think it was because of this stop and go that happened with this caching, because as soon as we turned it off, this automated caching, it never happened again. Maybe we were just lucky and didn't know it, or that was really the cause of it. We don't know, but since it did not happen, I say, yeah, I cache when I want to, not when the program feels like, okay, he's not using it. Which reminds me of Teams. Whenever you do not wiggle the mouse pointer for 2 minutes, it says you're away right now. So I'm not away. I just didn't wiggle the mouse pointer because I'm working. Anyway. Stories from the trenches. So hopefully next week I won't have any stories from the trenches because I'm having my pre-Christmas vacation and I'm looking very forward to not stressing myself out, because the Christmas holidays are going to be super stressful as always, with family and travel and that sort of thing. And so this is why Connie and I, we thought, you know what, we need some holidays before the holidays, just to build up a certain amount, even a certain container of chill that we can source from over the holidays. December too, right? Exactly. That's the thing. I'm very much looking forward to December. So the next week's stream, I think, is it? No, that's still 29th. So on Saturday, the next stream will be on 29th. That's still November. In December, yes, I'm partaking in the December, where it's all about DOS games and maybe DOS programming. Let's see if I can pick it up again. And yeah, just looking at fun, weird, obscure things in DOS, because there are so many things, and it has been back in the day such a big source of inspiration, just popping in a demo disc that you got with a magazine. And it was just some games, some demos would start, others would never ever start, others would crash at a certain point, and you never knew what you get. Yeah, life is like a box of probably chocolates, I would say. Yeah, I just coined this. Frank says, enjoy. Yes, I will. Always nice looking into retro stuff and then trying to see maybe there are some mechanics that you can revitalize, for example, or just some games that are super inspiring, or games that are the opposite of that and you can make fun of them, which can also be fun by itself. Right. So with that, I want to wrap it up after just a few short minutes of streaming, which has been, let's see, over 3 hours already. Yeah, with that being said, thank you everyone. It's wonderful to be back. It's wonderful to have you all back. Again, thank you, Frank, for subscribing for this many months. Really, thank you. And everyone else, I hope you're enjoying your gifted subscription. And yeah, enjoy the next week. I'm sure that I will. And see you on Saturday. YNOC says, thank you for streaming. And as always, I say thank you for participating, for watching, for subscribing, for chatting, for interacting with me. It's been always good fun for me. All right, with that, I say bye. Have a wonderful week. And yeah, take care.